Niamh,
What'd I do?
you have fucked with me for the last time. 5'6"? We measured it, Niamh. We measured it.
Oh.
Okay, look, if you're catching up on us now, last time Niamh made this big fucking deal about what heights we all were, and okay, here's what annoys me, alright? And I want to lay this out because this isn't necessarily a body thing. But last time I said to Niamh how I had accepted that I was 5'7.5", not 5'8". Mm-hmm. I am what I am. It is what it is. I'm cool with it. And Niamh responded by telling both me and Bryan that we are definitely not 5'7.5", that we are 5'6".
I said 5'6.5".
Okay.
And I still honestly stand by it because Bryan measured all of us at a party. That's the type of parties we have. And
it is true. I broke out the measuring tape because I'm doing a lot of measurements for rooms at the moment. Mm-hmm. Problem is with that measuring tape is that its primary function is measuring in centimeters because the metric system is...
Oh my God. Anyway.
Is the best.
And so later that week, I went out for drinks with your girlfriend, Rebecca, and I mentioned this and about how I can't believe I'm that short because you had told her that you thought you were 5'7", and she was like, no, I'm 5'7", which means you're 5'6". And Rebecca was like, that never happened.
no, I was like a half inch off.
Okay, Rebecca is like kind of 5'8".
No, she's not. Like, she's literally not. She's like 5'7.5".
Yeah,
and
same
I'm
as me, same as Bryan,
No.
Niamh, same as Bryan. And we measured it, and you're saying, okay, Bryan's measuring tape was 0.5 off. That's fine, because we measured it, and I was 5'8", which means my actual height is 5.75. And, okay, this is all bad enough, but can I tell you the part that really just fucking made me want to just strangle Niamh? When we were all sitting there, I'm sorry, Niamh, I would never actually hurt you, but just a moment of simulated violence in my mind, okay?
Okay.
But we're all sitting there in front of our collective girlfriends, our three collectively most important people in the world, and Niamh goes, John thought he was 5'8". No, I didn't, Niamh! No, I didn't!
Sound like an angry small man.
Okay, look, no, okay.
This is real small dick energy, John.
Yeah.
No arguments at all. But I just want to clarify, okay? I would rather be 5'1" and just be like, hey everybody, I'm 5'1" and I'm fucking cool with it, rather than be like 5'11" telling people I'm 6 feet. I just want to be the height I am, Niamh. I just want to be the height I am.
How tall are you?
5'7".
See the problem?
So you weren't 5'8".
I never...
You can't do it.
Okay,
You can't
but
do
we discovered there was a 0.5 discrepancy in that measure tape. I measured at 5'8". At one point, someone was like, I think John's 5'9". I'm not. That's ridiculous. I knew that was wrong. I'm 5'7.5". I'm 5'7.5".
But would you round up or round down?
I am what I am. I'm not 5... Okay, look, in the interest of fairness, I'll happily say I'm 5'7". That's cool. But I just want to be what I am.
If you're 5'7", you could be like, well, like...
We're just wee lads, John.
I'm a wee lad.
Yeah,
no,
it's fine to be a wee lad.
I'm fine with being a wee lad, but I just want the metric of my weeness, God damn it, to be accurate, okay?
Yeah.
Because now there's a bunch of people who are out there thinking I'm 5'6", and I'm not.
You're 5'8".
No, I'm not. I'm 5'7.5".
How much do you weigh?
Oh, I put on some weight recently.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I weighed myself this morning and I was like, oh, well, looks like it's back to couldn't wait for a little bit. But I got a bit cheeky and I went to America and you know how that goes.
You ate Red Lobster.
Oh, I ate Red Lobster. Yeah, it was so good.
So jealous you got to eat Red Lobster.
Yeah.
Do you get lobster at Red Lobster?
Yeah, you do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Just thought it was a name.
But you know what you really get? Cheesy biscuits.
Oh.
But like American biscuits. So scones. Or scones.
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 I don't know why I said it like that.
Why would you
like
say it like that?
This came up the other day when I was with Rebecca's parents and I was talking about Ogham stones.
Yeah. Why?
And I can't remember how it came up, but Ogham stones is a form of Celtic handwriting or I think it's Neolithic. It's thousands of years old, but it's a vertical script with strokes through it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And her parents were like, "What's Ogham? You mean Ogham?" And that's apparently it's like around the Midlands. There's a divide, and it's like north of the Midlands they say Ogham, and south of the Midlands they say Ogham.
Okay, I've always heard it as Ogham.
As Ogham, yeah.
Same.
Huh, very strange.
But then to Rebecca and her folks, they were like, "You mean Ogham?"
No, that's incorrect.
It's just regional. It's not incorrect.
Nothing.
It's just
it's
regional.
not a damn
Regional,
thing.
yeah.
Yep.
You
That's
can
just
get
a very
like cool
Irish thing.
tattoos in Ogham and stuff, but you don't have the full alphabet in Ohms because I just wanted one that said lesbian and there's no L.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah. There you go.
That's how it came up because my mom has a tattoo.
A friend of
What,
mine.
in Ogham?
Yeah.
What does it say? It's not lesbian. I know that already.
She wouldn't tell me, but
You can just decipher it, Brian. There's only like...
I've never seen it.
Wait, you've never
Where is
seen...
it?
Yeah, where
It's on
is
her
it?
back.
Oh, forbidden mother back.
Niamh, do your thing.
I will seduce Brian's mother.
Welcome to the Let's Fight a Boss video game podcast. To my left, ironically enough, it's the right hand. It's Niamh.
I wipe John with this one.
You know, if this podcast had like HR. To my right, it's the honorary oos. It's Bryan.
I don't think you get to decide that.
You can't just take Samoan culture and do that, John.
Yeah.
I bought a t-shirt, I can.
I don't know. I think
And with you always, head of the table, your tribal chief. It's John. I feel like me and Roman Reigns have a similar gravitas. Would you guys
I
say?
think you'd
Celtic.
be friends.
He means Celtic tribe. Don't worry. It doesn't mean we're Irish.
Yeah. Could you guys like get me out of this nosedive like as quickly as possible? Because like if I haven't been cancelled, I'm like fucking just on the edge.
I got. You know how the term spirit animal comes up now as a point of contention, and quite right too. I was like, hang on, is there an Irish equivalent of spirit animal? And apparently there is, but not quite. But you'd have to really bend the rules. But
I
there
think
is,
you'd probably have to use the phrase as well, right?
yeah, and I can't remember the phrase.
Okay.
But
Only cut
it's
this
like
bit
an
out.
animal familiar.
Only cut this bit out. We should start saying that on the podcast and make it a thing. And then as soon as our fans start saying it back to us, make them feel so bad about it.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Okay.
It's our word.
It's our word. Okay, only back in when we come. So guys, I went to Michigan.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Thank Canada.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere. It's someplace like that.
Yeah, there was a bunch of people with American accents. Wow, Michigan is it's a place.
It's a place in America.
Got off the plane and someone from the convention was picking me up and I see these guys and they are both wearing camo jackets and a camo like hat, which I've never seen before. I've never seen that in real life. And they eyeball the living shit out of me to the point that I'm like, oh, this must be who's picking me up.
No, John, you're looking for like video game t-shirt, not full camo.
Yeah. But like they could have had video game t-shirts
Under the full
like
camo?
I didn't know, it's like I was like, oh, well maybe that's gamer wear around these parts. So like I start walking straight towards them.
Why would you do
And the closer I walk, the more fucking pissed off they look. And so at the last minute, I kind of swerve and walk by them. And I sit down and I was like, well, they know what I look like. So if it's them, they're going to come over to me. And I kind of see them like looking at their phones and then occasionally looking over at me and then looking down at their phones and looking at each other and saying something. And then I notice the sign they're holding. and it says, and I shit you not, Kent, congratulations on parole.
Oh.
Hell yeah.
You look
That's
like
badass.
you could have been a Kent.
No, I do not. Because I saw Kent,
Oh.
and Kent does not look like me, and I do not look like them, and they were all very excited, and then they rode away. I have never been stared at as much in any place as Michigan, and I could not figure it out. Because I was walking around with Wooly, Kenny, and Reggie that entire trip. I did not think I would be the one who stood out in that group. It was fucking weird. But then someone explained it to me. No one dyes their hair in Michigan.
Oh. So it's your silver hair at that point?
I guess so.
Okay.
But like this started the moment I got on the plane. Like a guy, the transfer to, like I was an hour transfer to Michigan. A guy in a fucking camo hat, like, got up, turned around, and fucking, like, dead-eyed me for, like, 5 seconds.
That's so weird.
It was so weird.
Did you look too European for them? And by European, I mean gay.
That had to be it, right?
Yeah.
You look Mediterranean.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
And that was, like... And people kept coming up to Wooly and being like, I love your facial piercings.
That's so strange.
Yeah, because I've hung out with Wooly in various different towns.
Yeah.
That's never happened.
You have to get very close to someone to compliment their facial piercings.
Yeah, but it was a really good time. I was there for ComboCon, who were very, very kind to like fly me out, and it was pretty much I just had to spend like 3 days hanging out playing fighting games, and that was super fun. I noticed that Wooly has been very quiet about our Tekken matches. Interesting.
Was he shit?
No, he was fine.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. But it was really fun. I entered the Guilty Gear Strive tournaments.
Yeah.
And I had my first match against some guy. Fucking bodied him so hard. Felt great. And I was like, I think I'm actually gonna do pretty well in this because like in general I was having good like casual matches and stuff. And then the second guy, he kind of comes up and he sits down. And like, are you ever playing someone and you know you're fucked like immediately? He just goes, oh, Geo. Don't see a lot of people playing Geo. And I was like, I'm dead. And he destroyed me. I think I got one decent combo on him, but like, oh, it was brutal. And it was happening live on stream.
And who did he play as?
Biking.
How the fuck do you play as Biking? You must be real fucked up to play as Biking.
Yeah. At high level, Biking's good, but it was nasty. But it was a really fun trip. Michigan is a weird, like GameCube city. It's like it's got this giant empty skybox and these low poly buildings, and it's just flat and long, and it was very interesting to see that side of America, because like, you know, whenever any of us have gone to America before, it's always like a major city, right?
Yeah.
It's usually a coastal town.
I had never seen like middle America, and wow, TV does not lie as much as I thought it did. It was we'll say an eye-opening cultural experience. I could not get over some of the accents. At one point, me and Wooly were at a bar, and we were just chatting, and a waitress comes over to us, and she kind of like puts her elbows down. She goes, "Y'all are funny as fuck."
Why?
Wow, thanks.
And we're like, "Oh,
Thank you.
thanks."
That's nice.
Yeah.
Is that a compliment?
Yeah, no, like
Yeah.
she wanted to take a photo with us afterwards. I don't know, like she didn't know who we were or anything. It was just there was a lot of that. There was a lot of like, why is this person? What's happening here?
That's interesting. I
Yeah.
kind of want to go to Michigan now.
Yeah.
Just to see. No. I haven't seen a face that contorted from John in a while.
You're funny looking.
Like there was a couple of instances I had where someone did not say that with words, but their body and expression, like,
You look different.
yeah, oh, it was weird. I was ordering breakfast one morning and the waitress was like, I was like in the middle of ordering and she was like, where are you from?
Did they like that you're from Ireland at least?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, they did. But ComboCon was really fun. Shout outs to like everyone nice I talked to at the everyone at the con was nice. It was like a really small little con, but it was like really cool, and like, you know, there was a lot of just like hanging around the hall and talking to people and like playing fighting games on like a tiny little monitor, and I got to play a bunch of Third Strike, which I hadn't for ages, and that was really fun. Well, it did beat me in Third Strike, which hurt way more because Tekken's a garbage game for idiots.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Were there podcast fans there?
Of course. I've never gone to a convention and had there not be LFAB fans there.
Good.
Yeah. And they were lovely. They were really, really nice. But it was also like, man, even here in rural Michigan, that's why the boss is strong.
Yeah, we'll just think on that.
Just leaving it on that one.
I was about to move the section on and I was like, you know what? I always move the section on. What happens if I just sit here in silence?
You know what? Fuck that.
I shan't be doing that again.
Yeah, who gives a piss?
Guys, I have been watching a bunch of weird horror movies.
Yes.
Weird good or weird bad?
You know what? Everything. Okay, I guess the first one I want to talk about, I watched a Korean zombie movie called, I can't remember if it's Sadness or The Sadness. This is a 2021 movie.
Okay.
And
it's The Sadness.
The Sadness. Very typical zombie scenario setup. This is day zero in a Korean town. I think it's Korean?
Taiwanese.
Oh, Jesus, I am so sorry. So yeah, this is a 2021 Taiwanese zombie movie. And very typical day zero setup, okay?
Mm-hmm.
A girl looks outside, sees a spooky old woman, and was like, that's not right. That old woman turns around, has blood all over her. Great shot, really good. But there's a kind of difference with this movie in that it kind of does one of my favorite zombie tropes in that these aren't the shambling undead and they're not rage zombies either.
Okay.
These are hate zombies. These are regular people who have like lost all inhibition and have just violence and lust in them.
Oh no.
They just have primal urges.
They are dominated by their primal urges, but they have like logical thought. They can speak. They're just like extremely, extremely evil, depraved people.
Okay. Do they start to look zombified? Like what point? How do you know the difference between one of them and people?
Their eyes are completely black.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And they get fucked up very quickly because like they can't hide it. You know, like they will just start attacking everything around them, and they don't like to attack each other because a big part of their makeup is their desire to inflict cruelty, and they can't be cruel to each other because they're all just depraved and love everything. So what kind of follows is an hour and a half of people doing the most fucked up things they can possibly do to each other. Any general category of bad thing that one person can do to another happens in this film, and it happens in all directions. There's a zombie orgy at one part. That's weird. This is a very cathartic movie if you're of a certain mindset and very, very tolerant of like the grossest tropes in horror. Like this is maybe the goriest movie I've ever seen.
Okay.
It is absolutely unrelenting in the awful shit that happens. Like to the point that it's a little bit Mortal Kombat fatality-ish.
Okay.
In that like
its hyper-violence nearly becomes absurd.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can remember in the early 2000s there was a distribution label called Tartan Asian Extreme.
Yes.
And this feels like it would belong under that label if it still existed, but I think that kind of moved on when DVDs moved on.
Yeah, and like it wouldn't even be as like grisly as something like Audition.
Yeah.
Like whereas Audition, like I find parts of Audition hard to watch. I was having a pretty fun time with the gore in this, but like it was also like one where like I showed Michelle the trailer and she was like, no fucking way. Like she was like, no.
I can't wait to watch this movie.
There are a few parts where like they're very clearly just trying to do the edgiest thing they possibly can.
Perfect.
And, wading into some subject matter that should probably in general just be handled with a lot more care. So I would absolutely put like a content warning for, it's one of those movies I'm happy just being like, hey, if you're the person who likes to check out content warnings before a movie, I would just skip this one. You don't need to check the content warnings. Like, just, this is
a disrespectful film.
This is people's faces getting clawed off. This is like just, vicious group beatings with baseball bats. It is like just a film about depravity. And I had a good time with it because I watched this kind of thing.
It's cool to see in a movie. It's like a pretend scenario for one of your wishes, John.
No. Even I have
so.
my limits, Brian. But it's like, to me, I find films like this extremely cathartic. In terms of like, okay, does it actually execute on this stuff? Like, is the film trying to say anything? There's one bit where like a hate zombie attacks a woman, and the woman beats the hate zombie to death with a fire extinguisher. Sweet. And he's like, "You're just like me."
Oh, okay.
It has nothing more to say than that.
I see.
It has nothing more to say than like, maybe inside we're all fucked up. And it's like, it is a very cruel film, and I don't think it necessarily has anything to say about that cruelty. I had a fun time watching it. Like, if...
Is the production good? Or
very good. It's got really nice editing. It's got lovely cinematography.
Gore and effects are all good.
The gore and effects are like sensational.
Okay.
I think one of the reasons the film is so enjoyable is like the technical side of it is pretty up to scratch. Like there's some really interesting music cues as well. Like there's some very like atmospheric bits, and like the parts where things start going wrong are genuinely so horrifying. They're real like nightmare kind of stuff. There's a really good Granny by 9000.
Okay.
Yeah. I hate saying it because it's such a cliche. Obviously not a film for everyone. But I mean, if you and a very unsensitive group of friends want to grab a couple of beers and watch this, you'll probably have a pretty good time. But like, just make sure everyone's like cool with what's about to happen. Like, don't, like, I found the movie kind of goofy. I could see it being utterly traumatizing for other people. And, like, that's,
I think that's, like, part of, like, curation is, like, finding the right person for the right movie. That's, like, when we talk about them, I like to be like, this is a camp movie that you can watch with a party with your friends and everyone will have fun. And, like, I think there's value in that. Like,
part of me was like, I probably should have watched this movie with Bryan.
Just two messed up guys.
Just two messed up guys with a loss for carnage.
Yep. Niamh, why don't you tell us about A League of Their Own?
To change pace extremely quickly.
This is the baseball television adaptation.
It is a baseball comedy drama.
Okay.
And it's an adaptation.
Call them dramedies.
A drama.
Yeah, because the movie's from like 1990, 91.
Come on.
No, what's a baseball comedy drama?
A dramedy.
A lighthearted sports drama.
It's co-created by Will Graham and Abby Jacobson. And if Abby Jacobson, sounds familiar, she's Abby from Broad City. And this seems to be a real passion project for both of them. It's an adaptation of the 92 movie that had Madonna in it, if that's familiar to you guys.
With Gina Davis and Tom Hanks.
Absolutely. They got Gina Davis's blessing to make this.
Okay, good.
They talked to a lot of people, so they wanted to adapt this. And if you don't know the story of A League of Their Own, it's about a women's baseball league that springs up during the World War II era, because a lot of men
That's so cool.
Yeah. The men are off at war.
The men are off at war, so a lot of things open up to women, like work at factories and sports, because the Americans need their entertainment.
And there's a whole demographic missing.
Yeah, so they get women to play baseball. So they start a league, and it's a paid league, and a whole pile of women who want to play baseball try out for the league. And the story splits into two. One part of it is, it all starts with the tryouts for the leagues. And Abby's character, her name is Carson Shaw. She goes for it, and they're trying out for the team called the Rockford Peaches. And a whole pile of it, the first episode is just people trying out for this team, and you get your team by the second episode, but the interest kind of splits between. So you kind of have one focus is the Rockford Peaches, this newly made women's baseball team trying to make it through the league, but also dealing with loads of things like the person who's sponsoring this team is this old dude who thinks they're not pretty enough, so he wants them to wear dresses, and he gets these women in to do their makeup and just make sure that they're like TV ready, because like, you know, they're ladies as well as
preaching to the choir, Niamh.
As well as baseball stars. They have to look good. They have to look amazing. And then the other story is split. It's split with another woman called Maxine Chapman, and she's played by Shantae Adams, and she is a black woman who can't even get into the tryout for the Rockford Peaches because of racism and segregation. And her story is with her and her best friend. God, what's her name? I have it written down here. Clance. And Clance, I love Clance. She's a comic book artist, and she's drawing comic book characters all the time, and got a love for my girlfriend's comic book artist. Love this girl straight away. It was just like, love this character. But Max and Clance is like Max's biggest cheerleader, and she's always like on Max's side to go live her kind of baseball dream. So you have those two stories split between like the 10 or so women on the Peaches and Max and Clance. And their kind of attempt to get Max on a team, despite all the racism that's happening. And it's an 8-episode series, and I heard it described as a lesbian show with baseball in it and not a baseball show with lesbians in it. And that is absolutely true. 100%. They're all gay. And that was fantastic. So it was like the point of readapting this was to kind of talk about sexuality and to talk about the race of the time.
When you say readapting it, it was
a movie originally.
It was a movie 30 years ago.
Wow,
yeah,
cool.
That didn't kind of deal with these things, because obviously race and sexuality were a big deal in like World War II America, and how it would play into that narrative and that story. So it spends a lot of time talking about those things, and to kind of varied effect. I think the story between Abby's character and another woman in it, Greta, they're kind of, Abby is like, she's married in it to a guy who's off to war, and she kind of sees her opportunity to kind of run away and join this baseball team, and she meets a woman there who's out and kind of lives her life out, and as safely as she can, like, and she kind of falls for her, and it's kind of just about discovering your sexuality, but also Max is also trying to reconnect with her mother's sister, who's a butch woman who was disowned by the family, and there's all this interesting just gay history woven throughout this that really gives it some heart and some it makes it a very different show than a lot of other ones that are airing. Some issues like I had with it, I guess, is that it's kind of twee.
The movie's very twee.
Yeah.
I remember the movie being like, it's like a fucking Hallmark card. Like, it's just, and it has like twinkly music cues.
It doesn't have twinkly music cues in this, but sometimes it nearly does. Like, Max is like dealing with this horrible racism at the time, but it kind of like nearly like, you know, she gets there in the end because like Max doesn't quit because she loves baseball so much. And there's like something about it, like where it's like, I don't know, I had a great time watching it and it made my heart feel warm, but there was something about it where there was no peaks in it. It felt very like middling.
Yeah, I get that.
Because it's like a comedy drama and it didn't feel funny enough to be fully a comedy. and it wasn't dramatic enough to feel like fully like a drama. So it was somewhere in between, and it felt a little like there's one moment where a gay bar gets raided by the police, and that was kind of like the big point of drama in the whole thing. But there was also a sense that nothing too bad was going to happen, and they allude to all the bad things. Like they're alluding, like they're obviously showing racism, and they're also talking about how women are being taken away and given lobotomies for being gay. So there's all these like threats there, but they kind of, and they touch them a little bit, but there's no sense of looming, like they seem also a little removed from it. And I can understand why they would do that. They want to make a show that kind of deals with all these things that are happening at the time, but you also want to make it about the characters and the baseball and not make it get too heavy. Because I think you can have a thing like Orange is the New Black, where it got so heavy and so dark that no one wanted to watch it.
Especially like with some of the stuff you just mentioned as well, it's like the tone of a show can go off a cliff real fast, but then it's difficult because it's like, well, then do you just not set it in a place where stuff like that can? It's tricky. It's
a tricky balance, and I think they're doing it probably in the best way they can, where they're not ignoring these issues and they want to comment on them. But like at times it kind of feels like a little bit twee because they don't get their hands too dirty with it either.
It's like the best possible version.
Yeah.
Well, if it gets a season 2, maybe they'll take more risks.
That's kind of what I feel like with this, because it's split between Max's story with her friend Clance. They get so much development because there's only 2 of them. The Rockford Peaches, on the other hand, all the team of women, you see this huge cast of like 12 characters. And if you pick out your favorite, because they all really defined designs and they all look cool. So if you're like, oh, she looks cool, can't wait to find out more of her, you're kind of not going to get much.
Right.
Like there's 2 main characters on the Rockford Peaches, and that's Abby's character and Greta, and we're going to get a lot of stuff about them, and you're going to get another a bit of stuff about Lou, and that's kind of it. So you feel like season 2 is where hopefully those characters and a lot more of these other things will kind of get explored on a deeper level, or at least I think they should either push the comedy or push the drama. But like either way, I think it's a very good 7 out of 10 show.
Sure, I get that. Yeah. Like, I am glad I spent my time with this. I am not going to necessarily watch it again.
Yeah, it's like, it's not my favorite, but I did enjoy every episode and every moment kind of thing. And it's only an 8 episode series. It's on Amazon Prime. I think everyone should like check it out. It is a passion project with really, really good acting in it. Like everyone is doing their part and everyone looks great and there has a good budget. It just like, for me, it just needed that extra little push.
Sure, I get you. Speaking of things that may need that extra little push, guys, I watched We're All Going to the World's Fair.
Oh, I know what this one is. This is a horror movie about a streamer, YouTuber, girl.
She uploads videos, kinda.
Yeah.
So the trailer...
So she's like a vlogger?
She's more like a role player. Okay. So if you've seen the trailer of this, it looks very like that internet movie you love.
Unfriended.
Hey, they're great.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen those.
Unfriended 2 Dark Web? Amazing.
Yeah, is that better?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So if you watch the trailer, it looks very like those movies. Very like silly, trashy internet horror movie. There's this phenomenon online called the World's Fair, where you watch this video and then you prick your finger so blood comes out and you say, I want to go to the World's Fair, I want to go to the World's Fair, I want to go to the World's Fair. And then the game begins.
Okay.
It's like the coolest ARG ever.
And you're seeing like all these videos kind of where people are talking about how they don't feel right anymore and how their bodies are turning to plastic and all this kind of stuff.
So it's like a creepypasta.
It's like a creepypasta.
Okay.
I'm the description for the film might say creepypasta. So I feel like with that description, you're going into this movie expecting some like cheesy horror fun. Mm-hmm. That is not what this is at all.
No.
This is a very strange movie. It's very like... it's kind of ponderous. There's a lot of shots in this that go on for way longer than you think they would, and it might be the girl just on her bed, like watching a video.
Okay.
You know, it's very, very slow.
Like mumblecore, like long shots.
Yeah,
yeah.
Is this to pad out the length of the film, or is this all part of the aesthetic?
So the film is like, I think it's like an hour and 20 minutes, and even at that felt very long to me.
Okay.
But so basically the girl's being like affected by this curse, and all of a sudden she watches a video with her name in it, and a distorted image of her own face comes up, and it's this man who gets in contact with her like through this, and they both start experiencing this phenomenon together. This is like the opposite to the sadness. Whereas like with the sadness, I was like fucking whooping and hollering like the entire right, this is where a woman jumps off a roof and just her fucking they don't cut away, and I think they did that, and I went oh like
okay. Bring it back. We're at the World's Fair.
At the World's Fair.
We're at the World's Fair.
Remember, John, this film's good too.
The World's Fair is the complete opposite of that.
Okay.
I sat there kind of arms folded for an hour and a half, like being like, what? Am I having a good time? And you know what? I think for parts of this film I actually was. This movie is like it's a total like vibe movie.
Yeah, it seems like you really need to be in the mood for it.
If you get what it's like putting down, like if you're into its editing choices and its weird like selections of music, there's like a really thick atmosphere to enjoy here. There's also some really interesting horror. I'm not gonna say that like there's any horror that like really scared the shit out of me, but like one of it is like it's the girl, and the girl's fantastic. Like she's a really good actor. It's her doing like a TikTok dance, and in the middle of the dance, she just starts fucking screaming and screaming and screaming, and this is like a 3-minute sequence, and then stops screaming and finishes her dance. Like shit like that's great. Like shit like that's really, really good.
So she's in some sort of kind of like contract possession trance.
Yeah.
Because she's like invited this dark presence into her life.
Yeah, and like a lot of the film is like trying to figure out kind of what's wrong with her life, and like, you know, she clearly has a bad home life. I don't know that there's like, there might just be 2 actors in this movie. I don't know that there's even Nick Spears shows up in it.
Oh, really?
Wow,
May? Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
That's neat.
And yeah, I turned around to Michelle and I was like, I know this person. And Michelle was like, well, that's creepy.
I keep watching her iceberg videos on like disturbing videos.
Oh yeah, she's killing it.
And she just like names off some of them, and you don't know what to do, so you just start laughing.
Yeah.
Because they're just the most fucking ridiculous names for these like actual snuff videos.
Oh yeah, but like that was probably like the scariest moment of the movie for me, because I was like, what the fuck? Like, is this happening?
Yeah,
like,
real life has come here.
Like, just for like a second, it was like, what the hell? But the film takes some turns, and like it's an interesting movie. And you know, like I can't say it's a film I super was into 100%, but it has stayed with me, and I have thought about it a lot. But like right at the end, basically the last event of the movie is a character explaining retroactively something that happened. That ends, and then the film ends, and I found like the message of the movie at that point incredibly problematic, like really fucked up. And I turned around to Michelle and I was like, what the fuck? And then Michelle was like, no, I think the implication is that person has made this up, which changes the entire context of the movie. I like that interpretation. That makes way more sense for the film itself, so I think I kind of I would go with that interpretation over what I initially. But yeah, like if I watched this film by myself, I would have been like, what? Fuck this movie, you know? Because like, but now that I see it from the other side, and it's like it is interesting, and it is like, where I think in a way, like, it does manage to touch on something much darker and more disturbing than, like, the intense hour and a half that was the sadness. All the blood and gore and just depravity of the sadness doesn't actually end up touching on the kind of darkest parts of this movie, and I think that's really interesting. Again, totally not something I'd recommend for everyone, but, like, you know, if you're listening to this and you're like, I like a good weird horror movie that has very little dialogue and is about this super specific subject, it's not a long movie. It's like an hour and a half. It's a challenging movie. You know, it's interesting, and I think the further I get away from it, the more I like it.
I think that's a good feeling. I like coming out of a movie and being like, I don't know, but then have it the one that sticks with you and you're kind of ruminate on it for a while and you're like, maybe.
The only reason I've thought of the sadness is to be like, well, like, Bryan, you get it, Bryan. We might have to watch something.
Yeah, I know we will.
It's yeah, like we're all going to the World's Fair. Very, very different from its trailer, but you know what? Yeah, like I would recommend it too. Real quick, I got one more horror film to recommend, and it's called All My Friends Hate Me.
Okay, we should have done this before we pour a league of their own in between the horror sandwich.
I'm sorry, I watched 3 horror movies.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, go on, do it.
And it was. So the story of this movie is that a guy is meeting his college friends for his, like, I think 30th birthday. And they're all going to show up to this mansion, which is owned by one of his friends. And he hasn't seen them for like 5 or 10 years. And what unfolds is a polite British nightmare. This movie is all about the creeping sense of dread that you are constantly fucking up, saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, pissing off the people around you. And it is... I suspect it's a kind of fear that's really going to resonate with some people more than other, but me, like, I worry a lot about, like, people that I like not liking me, and this movie was torturous. In a really good way. Like, it was really, really effective, I thought.
I guess those kind of... So, like, it's just like a big mansion location kind of film.
Yes.
And usually with those, it is just about your social behavior and the social acceptance and how you represent yourself and the calculations you have to make with all your word choices.
Yeah, definitely. And then, like, they really walk this really beautiful line of, like, it being that social nightmare, but then there also being potentially something more sinister on the edges. Like something isn't right here.
Like they've planned something in advance and that...
Yeah. So, like, when he shows up, they show up with this new guy. And the new guy's like a big party animal and they all love him. But whenever the main character says something, the new guy takes out a little notepad and writes it down and puts it away.
No. That's devastating.
That's so cruel.
Yeah, it's a very cruel film in a lot of ways, but like I loved it, honestly. Like, I think, like, while the other 2 horror movies I talked about really, like, you know, there's particular people I would recommend each of those horror movies to. This movie I just thought was a great movie. I just thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it really subtly walked a line, and I thought, like, what it kind of says, like what it's going for, it really, really pulls off by the end of the movie. I was like, oh no, this is awful, but it was great. A really, really good time with it. Really interesting. Like, you see things from one perspective, and you're like, what is this person's problem? And then, like, later on, you might hear like a different explanation, and you're like, yeah, why did the main character act like that, you know? And it's great. It's really good. It feels like it's one of those movies that really calls a certain character out on their bullshit in a really fun way. In a really kind of healthy, interesting way. But yeah, I feel like the more I talk about this, the more I'm going to give away. Bryan.
Yeah?
Let's talk about the Funny Pages.
Okay, Funny Pages is an alternative coming-of-age film. It's distributed by A24 Films.
What's an alternative coming of age?
I'll get to it.
Okay.
I saw the trailer for this a couple of months back, and it had the A24 logo, and then it starts up, and it's just some like 18-year-old white kid in suburban New Jersey, and there's film grain all over the place, and I was like, oh, okay, it's an A24 film. And so in the trailer, it kind of sets him up as this guy, this 18-year-old who's kind of directionless in life, moves out of his family home to live on his own, and starts working odd jobs. He works in the local comic book shop, and the local comic book shop is so fucking good. It's such a it's clearly filmed in the comic book shop, but everybody there plays their bit.
Sure.
He also starts helping as a aide to a pro bono defense attorney, just doing like type ups and clerical work for her, because she represents him earlier on in the film because of his troubled actions. And this leads him to meeting a guy who is a client of his lawyers that he works for, who used to work for Image Comics.
Oh.
And the guy playing him is the guy who played Black Pete in Our Flag Means Death, who has a really interesting look and voice. He has a southern accent, but he has a lisp. He's a real character actor. And so it's about their relationship, and maybe he might teach him something, but maybe in return he'll teach him something back. That's not what this film is. It's an alternative coming-of-age comedy where it's about this 18-year-old little shit chooses to leave his home because he wants to be an underground comic book artist. And part of that is you have to struggle. And I guess the comics he's into are kind of like Daniel Clowes, Charles Burns, Peter Bagg.
Okay.
And I love Peter Bagg's comics in particular, and they have really, really good like prop design artwork for all the comic artwork. So whenever you see a character drawing and they close in on the cut in of the drawing, it looks so good. It looks accurate. But it's about an 18-year-old and his poor aspirations for a male role model in his life. In the first 5 minutes, it's him with his high school art teacher, and you realize very quickly that the situation is getting out of control and his high school art teacher is making a sexual advance on him. It just escalates, and then he runs out of there, but then his high school art teacher dies in a car accident that he caused.
Oh.
Then he breaks into his high school art teacher's classroom that's been sealed up since, because he wants to steal all the art for his portfolio because he wants to be an artist.
This is his artwork he's stealing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then he sees the high school art teacher's artwork, and it's all these like really amazing self-portraits of him. But it's just this guy that he's a very confused young man, and he doesn't understand what he wants in life, and where he's seeking answers is the wrong place. So he chooses to live on his own, and this goes on for, and like, it's such a strange movie because the movie's like an hour and 20 minutes, and what they choose to prioritize and what they choose to film is it kind of like, it feels like every 10 minutes is like a short story, because every 10 minutes is kind of like, it's sort of related to the previous 10 minutes, but
this is Safdie Brothers, isn't it?
It's produced by the Safdie Brothers. Okay. And the guy who directed it is a guy called Owen Klein, who used to be a child actor, and he's the younger brother in The Squid and the Whale. I don't know if you've seen that film.
Yeah.
Where Jesse Eisenberg's the older brother, and then Owen Klein is the little weirdo that keeps like smearing stuff on the school lockers that he shouldn't be doing. In real life, he's the son of Kevin Kline and Phoebe Cates, two kind of semi-retired actors. So I think some of it is autobiographical in the way that it's about a kid who comes from privilege but like acts out as a little shit because they want to have that struggle, because that is going to help them like hone their craft. Because the kid in this, like, he lives in a very upscale New Jersey suburban home, but there's just a bit where he moves into a basement apartment, and it's like 10 minutes of this, like, the most awful room tour, where he knocks on the door, and there's just an older man wearing a shirt with holes all over it, and he's like, okay, so I rent here and I'm subletting the room. And he's like, okay. And he brings it down into the basement, and he's like, okay, you can't open that door after 11 o'clock at night. And so you better be in before 11. And he's like, okay. And he brings him down, and there's just a Christmas tree But then later you learn on it's actually nearly Christmas time, because we were like, why is there a Christmas tree? And Rebecca was like, it's probably one of those places where there's a Christmas tree all year round. Could be. But it's a basement that has a boiler in it, so everything is really, really sweaty. And there's a fish tank in the middle of the room, and he's like, oh, you have a fish? And he's like, no, not anymore. Got eaten. And he's like, buy another fish? And he's like, all right, is this the room? And he opens up the room, and there's another guy in there already, and he's like, this is Steven? And he's like, oh, is Steven moving out? And he's like, no, Steven's in the room. That's your side. And he's like, so I get half? And he's like, look, that's for you and Steven to figure out. And then he's like, this is my room. Don't come in here. And then he's like, how much is it a month? He's like, it's $350 a month. And he's like, that's amazing. I'll take it. And it shows him, and he's like drawing in his like little notebook, and he's like so fucking into it. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to make it. No, he's not. He has this annoying best friend that kind of tags around with him. And at one point, his friend kind of follows him back to the apartment. He's like, that's so cool. You got your own place. We're going to have so much fun here. And then he brings him back. And the guy and Steven are actually in his room drinking warm red wine, watching a movie on a laptop. And then Steven's like, oh, you started without me? And then the other guy sits down too, and they're all watching a movie. And then the main character starts bringing out all his like rare collectible comics that he's going to start selling to try and like build up funds for his schemes to get everything. And it just fucking goes into these really weird places. Like even the guy then he meets isn't until like halfway through the film, and that guy's another cautionary tale. And it just turns into like towards the end there's like only like it feels like we're an hour into the movie. I turned to Rebecca and I'm like, I don't think this movie is what it was meant to be about. And it just becomes really, really directionless, but it becomes so hysterical that you're just like, well, I gotta see what's gonna happen now. It's disgusting. Everyone's depraved. Like, those two guys shouldn't be doing what they're doing at the foot of the bed, but they're doing it.
Huh.
Someone gets a fountain pen thrown in their head. There's a bit where, like, a character is going to be taught, like, I'm going to teach you how to draw. Like, 5 minutes later, they're fighting on the floor, screaming and kicking.
That's how you teach someone how to draw.
Yeah, that is true.
The bit where, like, the bits where they show the comic book shop that they all hang out, it's just people, like, knowledge flexing on each other about, like, did you know about this comic? And then people just eating and sitting where they're supposed to be comic books. And then, like, little signs that say, please talk about comics, not politics.
Oh, no.
Just stuff like that.
No adult Yu-Gi-Oh! Players.
Yeah, okay. So, here in Dublin, we have a place called Gamers World.
We have to have told this before, haven't we?
Oh, I'm telling
Tell it again, tell it again.
I'm telling you. We have Gamers World, and it's where you go to get your board games and trading cards, and they also have an area out back with vending machines and an open tabletop area. But a couple of years ago, they had to put up a sign up in the window that said, adult Yu-Gi-Oh! Is banned for the foreseeable future due to racial slurs.
Jesus.
Gotta watch those Yu-Gi-Oh! Players.
Yeah.
I know, going in there to buy Rebecca cards for her birthday is just an exercise in being stared out of it by 10 angry people sitting around a table. They're like, you don't belong here. And it's like, I know, I'm just getting cards.
Just getting some booster packs. Leave me alone. It had a very accurate portrayal, and like, it's hard to tell what era it is until someone took out an iPhone and I was like, okay, it is present day, because it's shot like it's really, really grainy looking. And like it's got a great aesthetic, but it's just a really funny misdirection of a coming of age movie where you think it's going to be about one thing and every assumption you have about it is like the other way.
Did you like it, Bryan?
Oh yeah, I think it's my favorite film this year.
You're so like, it's so hard to know.
Oh, like I was screaming the entire way through.
Okay. So this is a Bryan movie.
Oh yeah. Like there was one bit where I had to rewind it 3 times just to like make sure what I saw was correct, and it wasn't until the 3rd time I saw the penis.
Whoa.
It's just
that seems right.
So good. And like the fish tank, that shit is a great callback.
Bryan, this sounds like a hell of a movie.
Oh yeah, I know. I think we're going to have to watch this and The Sadness back to back. And we're going to have some Pringles.
Man, which one do we start with and which do we end with?
They're both fucked up by the sounds of it.
Guys, I watched Cyberpunk Edgerunners, the new Netflix anime.
The Netflix anime that has revitalized Cyberpunk 2077, making it the most downloaded game on Steam.
Almost 2 years later, they've turned it around.
Yeah.
With a fucking anime adaptation spin-off.
Yeah, anime is so powerful now. It's awful. First episode of Cyberpunk. I'm just going to go through the whole series, episode by episode, plot beat by plot beat, and then we'll move on to the next section. Is that going to work for everyone?
Thanks. Sounds good.
There's 10 episodes, isn't there?
Yep. Okay, so episode 1. So this series starts, and it's very much like there's this guy, David Martinez. He goes to a fancy prep school that his mother got him into by working multiple jobs. The preppy kids are mean to him. He can't do anything about it because the preppy kids have cybernetic implants and can beat him up really easily because they're strong with the cybernetics. Very standard Shonen Jump setup. He gets the MacGuffin that makes him stronger and beats up the kids.
Is the MacGuffin Johnny Silverhand?
No, it's a magical spine.
Oh.
There's no Johnny Silverhand in this.
No, this is very much in the world of Cyberpunk, and it does actually have 1 or 2 characters that cross over, and I think in actual really interesting way. But so like that's kind of like your early story setup, and I was like, okay, cool, I get it. It's a shonen anime, except the power level is cybernetics, and it looks nice enough that I'll watch it all. Cool. That's definitely not what this is. I was really, really surprised the directions this thing took. What it really is like this is a story about basically being in a lower class of people and it being completely impossible to ever break that kind of glass ceiling. But no one wants to accept that. Instead, they want to like propel themselves as hard as they can towards this glass ceiling, even though they're going to smash against it. And they do that by ripping out their parts of their organic body and replacing it with machines. And that comes with this kind of psychosis. I think they call it cyber psychosis, where after you get enough chrome, like after you get enough cybernetic implants, you just start to lose your mind. It ends up being this utterly like tragic story about the hopelessness of that in a way that I never expected it to pull off in the first episode. I really want to, I won't go too into like any specific spoilers or whatever, but like there is a point later on when you realize like these people you've been with for 10 episodes, just how small a part of this world their lives are. Like they never mattered. You know, the big bad guy in this, like the evil orchestrator,
the big company. He's
a low level corpo. He's like at the bottom rung of one of these corporations. He's not even like, you know, he does not have like a penthouse loft. He's just like, he is at the bottom of his chain just trying to get to that. And like I loved that. You know, it was so sad. Like it was genuinely so sad watching like these characters really kind of struggle in vain to like elevate themselves and like the awful things they have to do. And like you see very early, you see like halfway through this series that like, oh, this path doesn't work out for anyone. And I thought it was really interesting because like it did have like, you know, the characters do have this kind of like, look, we just need to get this chrome, we just need to get these upgrades no matter what the cost. Like it doesn't matter what it costs us, the only thing that matters is like how much it can advance us. And I feel like there was like this weird, I feel like crossover with like, I don't know, hustle culture and all that fucking shit, where it's just like this constant pursuit of this perceived goal that ultimately just makes you crazy and makes you nothing. You know? And I thought it actually did that stuff. It cuts
ties in your life. Yeah,
big time. And it's like it separates you from the people you love to the point that like you don't know what you're doing. You know? And it's one of those anime that is like vomiting desktop wallpapers at you like once a minute at least. Like it's
slick.
It's a beautiful show. There's probably like less hardcore action animation than there would be in some of like Trigger's other famous shows,
Yeah.
but like that's not to say it's a worse looking show. It's just to say that like there's probably less of that and more, I would say, just like very interesting color design and art direction.
There's very good environments with characters walking through them.
Yeah. I wouldn't say you get a deep dive of any particular character, but it's 10 episodes long and they're all enough. You know, like the core group is really fun. It's like...
I was half watching this with Rebecca, and there was one bit I came in on, and it was like, look, Bryan, that's the gang, and they're all like walking in a like line together, and I was like, that's not that. That's not
yeah.
Like 5 minutes later.
Yeah. Oh, they're... The way the show treats death is...
The humans are very disposable.
Yeah, like, and it's real, like, there's some real senseless deaths where it's like, wait, that character's gone? But like the fact that it's senseless is part of it, because like that's how just fragile and expendable life is in this universe, and it was so good. But
and lots happens. A lot happens in each episode.
It is a packed 10 episodes. Yeah, and like by the time it was over, I was really genuinely sad that it was done, because I don't remember the last time I've enjoyed an anime with this little qualifiers. Like even Ranking of Kings, like I love Ranking of Kings, but like a lot of the stuff you had a problem with, Niamh, like in hindsight, it does really slow down in the middle, you know, and like the ending was fucking great, but like yeah, it was kind of a bit all over the place, and I didn't feel that with Cyberpunk. I was in it, like it took me an episode or two to really warm up to it, and then I loved it. There's a few like little things I kind of had a problem with it, where like there's a lot of licensed music in it,
and
I don't think a lot of it works.
It's weird, like
that's
UK
from the
indie
game?
rock.
Oh, do you think it's from the game soundtrack?
Might be, but like say like the main theme is Franz Ferdinand.
Oh.
And like I think Franz Ferdinand are all right. Like,
but
they're
like
fine.
I wouldn't really confuse it.
They're just a very weird choice for a cyberpunk
but
anime.
I kind of find that it felt that way about the game, that the soundtrack already felt dated in the cyberpunk game that I was playing. I was just like, okay.
Now there is one licensed song. I don't know who sings it, but they do use it exceptionally, in that it's kind of like it's a song sort of about like these two characters falling in love, and like the eventual payoff of that song, like the last time they play it, is kind of gut-wrenching.
It'd be cool if they did Imagine Dragons.
Yeah, definitely.
Everything should do Imagine Dragons.
But what really pisses me off as well is the actual fucking composer and sound designer is Akira Yamaoka. And so you get Akira Yamaoka, the Silent Hill dude, in, and then you cover the show in licensed music. And like the licensed music took me out of it every single time. I think like a good soundtrack with a strong identity is so important. Like think of Kill la Kill, think of Attack on Titan, think of Death Note, think of all these legendary anime with just such a strong audio identity. And the only real mark I could make against this is that it doesn't have that. It has a bunch of licensed music, and like, you know, it's like the characters will be doing something and someone's rapping in English, and it's just, that can be cool, but not in this way. But that is like legit the only thing I could really take away from it. I had such a good time with this show. I think it's a genuine like modern classic. Like when I think of like when people look back at like the 2010s and they try and pick out like the best anime, like this is going to be one of them.
For the 2020s?
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah. It has that real like, wow, this really captured this era in the same way like I'm not saying it's as good as Cowboy Bebop, but like in the same way people associate Cowboy Bebop with like 90s and stuff like that. I think this really captures a lot of what can be cool in anime and media now, and I loved it. I would really recommend it to a lot of people. It's very triggery, as in like Trigger make it. If you love Trigger, you probably already watched this. If you don't like Trigger, I don't know that you'll like this, but I also think the story is strong enough to like, there's moments in the story I think people are genuinely just going to really appreciate.
Yeah, because the original script is from CD Projekt Red, and then it was adapted by Japanese writer.
I think the original scenario writer was CD Projekt, then the script was then adapted by. But yeah, really loved it. Really just will probably rewatch it soon because I liked it that much.
Did it make you want to play the game?
Yeah, it did.
It's £25 now.
I might give it a go. I assume they fixed it. I think it came out on came out on PS5 and
Xbox Series now.
There's been a lot of updates to it, and now I don't know if it's already out, but they're doing a story update as well.
You know what? Speaking of which, strategy talk. I'm having a bit of a game drought lately.
Same.
I feel like nothing's really grabbing me.
I got a game that's grabbing me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Grabbed by the ghoulies.
No, that game sucks.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's okay. It's not...
I never played it. I kind of want to...
It's on the Rare Collection. You should probably be able to play it on Game Pass pretty easy.
Yeah, I've been meaning to. I've been kind of like just playing a lot of PS2 emulated games. That's been interesting. Thanks to the person who recommended me the Ridge Racer games. I played Ridge Racer. What lovely aesthetic games. I have been playing a little bit of... Okay, I've actually been playing a lot of Ace Attorney.
You are, because I'm playing my Switch and your name pops up.
Yeah. Do you guys want to care to guess how long the Ace Attorney Chronicles, which is both Ace Attorney games together, is?
I'd say they're 40-hour games each.
Yeah, I was going to say 80.
80 hours?
Yeah.
Previous Phoenix Wrights are all like 20 hours. I thought I was getting into a 40-hour game, and now I find I'm like 65 hours into an 80-hour visual novel. I'm having a very good time with it. Those last cases
it's holding your attention for a really long time.
It is.
That's a lot of text.
But yeah, more than I thought. But also getting back from ComboCon, I saw the DNF Duel. Do you remember that Arxis game that came out?
Mm-hmm.
So originally with DNF Duel, I picked the karate girl and she was cool, but I was like, I'm not really feeling her gameplay. So I picked the grappler, who kind of looked like me when I had dark hair.
Okay.
Also wasn't really feeling him, and I was like, okay, that's the karate girl and the jiu-jitsu guy. Maybe I just don't like this game. But at ComboCon, I was watching some people play DNF Duel, and I was like, this actually looks really, really cool. And so I decided I'd pick it back up. And that is an interesting fighting game. It's like it occupies this weird middle ground where there's no motion inputs at all. No quarter circles, no dragon punches. This is like Smash controls where like all your specials are on this button. And the specials are fucking crazy. Like a lot of these, they're not like dragon punches. They're like you setting half the screen on fire. Like really, really mental stuff. And so in one way, like the barrier to entry is low because the controls are simple, but it's also high because these moves are complicated, and if you don't know what you're doing, you will get totally fucked up. So I started going through the characters to find like, maybe, okay, if these two characters didn't appeal to me, will there be another one? And let me tell you, I found the Inquisitor. She is a woman.
Of course.
In a full suit of armor.
Yeah.
Oh.
Who carries around a Bible.
Huh.
And a large axe. And her whole mechanic revolves around her setting people on fire.
Sounds like she belongs in Dark Souls 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. So you literally throw oil on your opponents and then set them on fire, and that's how she gets like her MP back. Oh, that's the other thing. All the moves in this, they all cost MP.
Okay.
And so you have to like wait for your MP to recharge, and if you burn through your MP too quickly, and so while like there aren't any motion inputs, you are constantly watching your MP meter go up and down. Really, really interesting. But I love this character. She is so much fun to play as. I checked the ranking and she's like bottom tier. Like no one plays as her.
Oh, she looks cool. I like her design a lot.
Yeah, I love her
great.
design. She's great. And but I've been having so much fun playing as her because like her gameplay is real. Like you cover parts of the screen in flame to lock down your enemy, and then get in close with your axe and trying to annihilate them. And like if you get your combo going, she's so dangerous, but also like she's so slow. And if someone gets up close to you, it's really, really difficult to deal with. DNF Duel is really fun. Like it looks great, but not any better than any of the other Axis games. In fact, it's probably like a little lower down on the rung than like a Strive or like a Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Well, it looks better than Grand Blue Fantasy versus...
Grand Blue is weird because like I agree with you, but Grand Blue, when you're playing it, it does have a set art style, and they all do feel very part of the same world, and I do like that about Grand Blue.
I was playing that last month because it was part of PS Plus.
Yeah. I like Grand Blue. The controls for this are way simpler than Grand Blue. I would say the gameplay is actually like, it's going to be much weirder for someone not familiar with fighting games. The only problem I'm having with it is like, it's already getting kind of tough to get a match, and the game's not out for that long.
No, it's only out like 6 months.
And like, the people who are still playing are complete beasts, and like, I am trying to crawl up the learning curve, but it is a journey on bloodied stumps. Like, I think my win ratio right now is like 30%. Like, I am getting just washed constantly, and that sucks. But I think the bigger problem is it just takes a long time to find a match. You know, like, if I sit down for 20 minutes, I want to try and get at least 3 matches in. If I'm spending most of that waiting, it sucks. And it's like, you know, I can lab Inquisitor's combos and stuff like that, but at some point I need the raw experience of like navigating the field and like reacting to people, and it's been really hard to get that experience. But yeah, DNF Duel, it's fun, it's cool. I'm really glad I got to know Inquisitor, like, even just in the surface level way I have, because I think it's been a while since like a fighting game character clicked with me like her. Like, I just think she's awesome. But I also not sure how much longer I will spend with this, especially like if something else comes along and grabs my attention. Bryan, you are playing something that you're very excited about, Splatoon 3.
Oh yeah, Splatoon 3. I've been playing Splatoon 3. I've been playing it for about 3 weeks now. Came out at the start of September, or maybe middle of September. It came out at some point.
We can confirm it did come out.
It did. I know, I'm definitely playing it.
Yeah. Yeah,
so far so good. When I first started playing it, I wasn't feeling it at all, because I'm like, this is just Splatoon 2, and Splatoon 2 is just Splatoon 1. Mm-hmm. Like, what's fresh?
What's fresh?
And like, Splatoon's supposed to be the catch of the day. Like, I'm not...
That was nice.
I don't know, like, something was fishy. So, that's all I got.
Keep going.
Okay, that was a buy 3 combo, so that was pretty good. Yeah.
No, I think I squirted it all out now.
Whoa.
No. It kind of forces you into this tutorial at the beginning, and you have to play a bunch of online matches, and the first week of Splatoon 3 was rough. Nintendo have switched to a different online matching system, and it's now tied with your Nintendo online account. Splatoon 2 isn't, because Splatoon 2 came out so early on in the Switch's life cycle. I think it came out less than 6 months after the Switch came out.
This was the whole phone dongle disaster, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so I'm on my 3rd Switch, because I have a Switch OLED, which I've had now for almost a full year. My launch Switch, I sold that to trade up to the OLED, and I have a Switch Lite in between. But if you play Splatoon 2 on a different Switch, to play from the beginning, it doesn't cloud save. It doesn't have, even though it's an online game, it's not an online game. Splatoon 3 has fixed that problem, and which is great, but they still need to figure out a lot of the matchmaking, because I'd say 25% of the games I play fail, and you're back out into the lobby. They've changed the waiting around in this game so that while you're waiting for a match, you don't have to look at a menu screen. You can actually just go into the training area, which is right beside, and you can just practice. Because the Wii U had a mini game. The second game you just had to look at a menu with all the names popping up, but this kind of has stuff you can do. And it's the same when you enter the hub world. The new idols will tell you what stages are playable, but you can also just click that and you can hide it up into the corner and get on with it. And before, that was like an unskippable 2-minute introduction that you'd have to watch every time you launch the game. So they've improved that kind of stuff. But when I was actually just playing Splatoon 3, it just felt like Splatoon 3. Like, there's a couple of new specials, but I guess when you're at the very, very beginning of that game, the default weapons, and it was the first day, so everyone had the same weapon set, there just wasn't much going on. And then the game kind of suggested I do story mode, and I'm doing the single player story mode, and it's incredibly dull.
Oh shit.
And I played the first hour of that, and I'm like, this isn't anything. But then You kind of defeat the first boss of story mode, and the fucking first boss is 2 floating hands. It's a fucking Nintendo-ass video game boss with big fucking floating head with the 2 floating hands, and you have to kind of trick the hands into hitting the head.
I feel like sometime I'd like to see someone do like a deep dive into the psychology of why Nintendo keeps putting that in their
They
game.
keep doing it, and it's you have to do 3 big hits, and then the 3 phases are over.
I mean, Bongo Bongo was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's all right.
You get those floating boots.
I like the guy that was in the Pyramid in Mario 64.
Oh yeah, he was cool.
Anyway, that's done, and I'm just like, what's this game got? Then it plays a cutscene. I think at this point, anyone who's played Splatoon, this is a mild spoiler, I guess, for the story mode. The idols show up, and they push you into a sewer, and you fall down, and they wave goodbye to you with an evil grin.
The new idols? Whoa.
The villains of the single player mode are the idols.
Oh, cool. Oh, that makes them so much more interesting.
Doesn't it? And from then on, the boss battles are the different idols, and they're in different kind of like mechs.
Even Calamari?
No. These are the new ones, Shiver and Fry and Big Man, the Manta Ray. They're a lot of fun, and I didn't think much of them in the preview last month, but now all of a sudden I think they're fucking brilliant.
I kind of warmed on them a bit. Like, there's something to them.
Yeah, no, they're very, very good.
Yeah. I just think, like, when you're following Calamari, and then the ones girls from Splatoon 2 are like...
Pearl and Marina, they're great as well, yeah. Then they were very, very quick to have their first Splatfest, so that's their first kind of like weekend session. And the gimmick with it this time is that it's a choice of 3 rather than a choice of 2. And they
Splatoon 3.
Yeah, Splatoon 3. And
Got him.
Yeah.
And the way they figured it out in the algorithm, I guess, is you can have a 3-on-3 match, so it's 3 teams all trying to cover the base.
Oh.
And I don't know how they do the maths behind the scenes with that programming, but it works, and it's fucking nuts. Because all of a sudden, it's a completely different game when it's you against 2 other teams.
Do you gang up on one team with another team?
Sometimes they do that when different applicants, because you pick your side a couple of days in advance or the morning of when you sign on. But sometimes they do have to shuffle the numbers, and they'll put a handicap on one team, but it does even out at the start. But it is like it turns into fucking chaos, and that's a lot of fun. But the first one was you're trapped on a desert island. What do you bring? And it was like gear, food, or fun. And so I picked gear.
I knew it.
Well, I've watched Survivor. Like,
sure,
come on.
Okay.
Like if you have gear, you can get food. So why would you?
I personally would bring fun, but I mean,
The people.
we're very different people.
If you have gear, you have fun.
If you have a song in your heart, Bryan, you can back me up.
You can survive anything with a song in your heart.
Yeah, sure, you could.
Thanks, Niamh.
Yeah,
Appreciate
it's
it.
fun.
I didn't know where I was going.
Just sing at the wild boar. Just sing at whoever hid the chicken.
Well, I mean, I used my karate to take down the wild boar. So.
Oh, okay. Gear 1. I was fucking delighted, and I got some extra points. Felt very good about that. But I'm enjoying it more. But I haven't played it for a couple of days because I got distracted by another game. But so far, so good with Splatoon. They've improved it since then. There's been about 3 updates. So they definitely are responding to the problems. And I know in the preview they said that the lifespan of this game is going to be like 2 or 3 years. So they do have, like, I guess, a roadmap for this.
That's cool. They did some really cool stuff with Splatoon 2's DLC.
Yeah, they did. Oh, yeah, no, there's going to be at least 1 big DLC or maybe 2.
Cool.
But I'm confident in it so far. But it is one of those things where it's an online game and they're always rough at the beginning.
Yeah. Niamh, according to my notes here, you've been playing Final Fantasy 23.
So I got a Steam Deck.
Okay.
And I opened the Steam Deck, and that's a piece of kit. That's a gorgeous machine. It's quite bigger than a Switch. Lovely screen on it. Not too heavy, not too light. You know, you're going to be leaning that against your legs, but not so heavy that it's like frustrating to play.
Can you play it in bed, lying down?
I've been playing it in bed, not lying down, not like held over your face like that.
Oh, I love doing that.
No, that would just like you'd get a workout pretty quickly. Now this is lying in bed like leaning against your knees or a cushion or something. Like you got to prop this against something. And I haven't got to do anything too fun with it yet, but it like connects to your Steam library straight away. And Final Fantasy XIII was just right there, and I was like, it'd be really great to play Final Fantasy XIII as the first game on the Steam Deck. And downloaded it, and I've been playing it, and I like that game a lot. And I think it has gotten better with time. I think looking back on it, it like has really improved my experience with Final Fantasy XIII.
Did that come out in 2010 or 2011?
2009, I think it might have been.
No,
2010, 2009 in Japan, probably 2010 or 11.
I remember in 2009 they were really promoting the shit out of it, and they had a bunch of this.
We were in fourth year.
Yeah, and so we were in fourth year college, and definitely it wasn't out, but I know people were listening to the soundtrack.
Yeah, because Leona Lewis had My Hands, and she was. And people hated it because they were like, ooh, woman making a song for Final Fantasy.
It's gross, Niamh!
As if that hasn't happened before.
Blinded by the Light is one of the best battle themes. I was definitely an initial Final Fantasy 13 naysayer, but seeing where we went with that series definitely makes me feel softer on 13. I don't know that I'd ever go back and play it, but I think there's probably things I'd appreciate about it now that I did not appreciate.
I think that's where I'm with it now. Like when I played Final Fantasy 13, it took me a long time to warm into it. I was really frustrated that a lot of the stuff that I said about like Xenoblade Chronicles 3, like I like that it dropped you into a story and you're not like a small child in a village who needs to go on a quest. Like you're in the middle of something intense. And this does the same thing. You're in the middle of a story. You're in the middle of like a conflict and a culture, and stuff is changing, and you're on the precipice of something falling apart. And that's a really hard place to start. And like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 does it really well. Final Fantasy 13 does it really, really badly. But when it does get all its pieces together, you start to have fun with it.
I remember you telling me before how like you really have to meet that game halfway, in that if you want to appreciate its story, the only way to really do it is like be in its lore and be like, okay, what's a fal'Cie and a...
I found that so frustrating. I remember the first time I was playing it, I was just like, I could read the codex, but it annoys me so much that I have to go read a codex to understand any of this, because they're not giving me any... Like, they're just throwing jargon at me with no, like... just no respect, that I don't know what any of it fucking means. And I was like, that's bad storytelling. I refuse to read the codex. And then I got like 10 hours in and I still was like, I have no fucking clue what's happening. And I was like, I'll read the codex. And that made for a much better game. And it still starts off badly. Like, it starts off with unlikable characters being splintered. So you play as every character in pairs for the first half of that game. And these are characters that don't like each other, and you don't really have a reason to like them, and you don't know anything about them. So it's really, really hard to kind of get a grip on them. But after you play loads of Final Fantasy games, you have a character like Snow, whose whole thing is, I'm a hero. And everyone around him is going, you're fucking not a hero, stop saying that. And he's just like, no, I'm the main... Guys, I'm the hero. And there's this little boy who, like Hope, who's just like, you killed my fucking mom. But he can't get it out to say to Snow, so he keeps running up to Snow, ready to tell Snow to fuck off for killing his mom. And Snow's just putting his hand on his back, being like, don't worry, little guy, we'll figure this out. I'm a hero. I'm gonna save my girlfriend, and I know you can tag along or what the fuck ever. Bye.
Okay, that is legitimately great. I also kind of want to experience this game written by Niamh. and there's so much of that, and you're just like, Hope is waiting for his chance to tell this doofus that he fucking hates him. And like Snow was just still doing this, like, I'm the hero, I can save anyone with my positive like hero attitude. And Lightning is just like, you just keep making stuff worse, you fucking suck. And it's just a really hard game to come to terms with, because the first half of it is splitting you into pairs and just making you deal with their conflicts before you ever got a chance to like them as individuals. And that's a really hard place to start a game, and a total misstep for them. But when it gets into it, all those conflicts come together
and it gets really interesting from a character and gameplay perspective, but it takes a long while. But just playing it on the Steam Deck screen is gorgeous. That game looks beautiful. I've been assuming all along that they're probably working on some kind of remaster, because it's one of the only games that hasn't come out on like Switch or gotten anything on PlayStation.
Yeah, it seems like the only way to contemporarily play it is through Steam. Otherwise, it's on PS3 and 360.
Yeah, you can play it now. It came to Game Pass, but like nothing has been done with it. But it only came to Game Pass this year.
Wow.
So it's just kind of the forgotten Final Fantasy in that sense, and it's around 14 years old now, so it kind of feels like it's due its time again. But playing it on the Steam Deck has just been a great experience. Like, it's one of those games that has the little yellow icon on it where it's like, this is not Steam Deck ready, so it might be a little fucked up. And the only thing I've found so far is all the buttons are clearly mapped to a keyboard. And I was dying at a boss and I couldn't skip the cutscene beforehand because it was bound to a keyboard key that had no alternative key on the deck. So I had to just like watch it every time, and even when I got the onboard keyboard to come up, it wasn't recognizing it, kind of thing.
Okay.
But that's kind of just a small issue.
Yeah.
But Steam Deck, it's super impressive, kind of would want to be, I guess. But playing that game on it, it's just like, it made me go, wow, the Switch needs an update. Like, because you're playing Xenoblade Chronicles, that game has gorgeous art direction. It's so muddy. It's so muddy on the Switch. The draw distance isn't great. And you're like, that game, if it was on anything else, would be beautiful.
Definitely.
Because it has all the art direction in the world. So it's like, it's really impressive to play. And I know, again, this game is 14 years old, but when this game came out, this was a big blockbuster game.
I mean, like, even a lot of the design in that game was beautiful. Like, it was beautiful then, and like, I think good art direction with a lot of hard work put into it does not age.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Does the Steam Deck make any noises, or does it get warm?
It gets a little warm. You can hear that fan a little bit, but nothing extreme. Like, I thought it would be louder. I thought it would be warmer, but it's actually like, and I haven't played something like Cyberpunk 2077, which is the best-selling game for the Steam Deck currently. So I don't know what kind of noise it would make playing that. I have a friend who's playing the Cyberpunk 2077 on their Steam Deck, and he told me he gets an hour of gameplay out of it before the thing just needs to be recharged.
Yeah.
Wow.
With Final Fantasy 13, I'm getting 4 to 5 hours. So, you know, it's comparable to like the Switch, you know?
Yeah, totally. For about a year now, I've had a real hankering to start back up Final Fantasy VIII. Just because I love that game.
It's possible to play it now.
It's possible. You can play it on Switch.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna. Bryan, you have played Tunic.
Yeah, I'm playing Tunic. This is why I'm not playing Splatoon 3 this week. I'm now playing Tunic. This came out on PlayStation and Nintendo last week, I think. And I was kind of two minds about, do I get it for PlayStation or do I get it for Switch? I ended up getting the Switch version and immediately started playing it on the big screen, and it looked really bad.
Oh shit.
Oh, no.
It looked really fuzzy and lots of stuff was popping in.
Man, because I'm playing that on Xbox like S, the littler one, and it looks beautiful.
Yeah, it looks
on
gorgeous.
that.
Yeah, and so I kind of regret not getting it for PlayStation 5. But then I started playing it in handheld mode and it looks completely fine.
Cool.
It looks great. And whatever way they've optimized that game, it does not eat the battery at all. It just hums along. The Switch doesn't have any problem playing it, even though I thought it would because it looked so complicated, or it looked like it had a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. But no, it plays fine. John, you were saying I would really like Tunic. Some other people were saying this is a game that you would like, Bryan. I'm like, you don't know what I like. I really like Tunic.
See, John wins sometimes.
People are correct in assuming that I would like this game. It's very good. I'm having an absolute blast, and I couldn't say a bad thing about it. And I had made a top 5 games of the year played this year, and that was about 2 weeks ago that I made this list, and now all of a sudden I might need to change one of the games on that list and maybe add in Tunic. But, you know, I'm still early on in the game, but so far so good.
Let's see how that combat goes for you.
I'm doing my spells.
I don't hate the combat as much as you do, I think.
I'd say it's just a me problem. I just hate that combat so much.
I have heard people, like, basically turning off the death in it.
Yeah.
I think if people are doing that, that's obviously a sign that, like, something about the combat is not clicking with people. I don't mind it, but I do like it when games hurt me. So.
Yeah. I fought the first major boss last night, which is Garden Knight, and he's absolutely the Father Gascoigne of the game, where it's like, this is kind of the barrier to entry for the rest of the game. You're going to have to learn how to play the game by fighting this boss. And all his different moves are movesets from enemies you've already fought earlier on in the area. It's just, he does all 4 of them, I guess, and, you know, he has his tells.
Is he the boss of the well?
No, he's the boss of the west area.
Okay,
West Garden.
No, wait, I have fought him.
Yeah, no, you've definitely fought him. Yeah, he's just called Garden Knight.
Yeah.
And he has like a proper health meter and everything, and you're locked into an environment to fight him. Because I fought some mini bosses, but they were just kind of like a guy at the end of a dungeon, and I was like, oh, that's a boss, but it wasn't. Like, this was an actual boss. And like, it's game design where it's all just show but don't tell. And before you get to him, there's actually a very clever farming area so that you can farm up your coins. And then I learned how to raise the HP or raise the stamina of the little fox.
That is a moment when you figure out how to do that.
Because I knew that there was, you know, stuff I could spend money on, because I went to the shops, or I found a few caves where it had a shopkeeper, big giant ghost fox with the floating hands. And I bought, you know, more heart containers there, and I was like, well, I guess these are like, you know, the Estus flasks from Dark Souls, and yeah, like it's absolutely Souls inspired. But then it's a mashup then, I guess, of Zelda Link to the Past and Zelda Link's Awakening as well. But then there's bits of Fez and there's bits of Hyper Light Drifter in it too, and those are all games I actually
picked it up again, like, very, very recently. I think if there's one thing I'm concerned about is, like, I do run into a lot of, like, where do I go?
Yeah, see, this is why I'm actively playing it, because I feel when I'm not playing it, this game stays in my head, but I also think that if I don't play it, I'm going to forget what to do. Yeah,
so that happened to me when I picked it up. Like, it took me a good long while to figure out where I was at again and what I was trying to do, and I think I'm going to have to just keep going. But I've also heard, like, the puzzles get kind of insane.
I'd say so. And, like, I guess the point of this game is you're not meant to go on the internet or read a walkthrough. You're supposed to figure it out on your own. And it is satisfying to figure it out on your own, but there's going to be some problems, and, or, you know, you will be facing problems where it's like, how able are you to figure this out on your own? Or, like, how well guided is this without holding your hand, but, you know, putting you on the right path to problem solving it, I guess. And that's a very difficult thing to balance, but so far it's been successful with it, but let's see if it does it the whole way through. But I am probably going to get stumped at one point, because I remember last year playing Metroid Dread, and for the majority of that game, you know, I would face a problem and I would figure it out myself, but then there was one section of the game and I just completely missed the solution to it, and I wasn't the only one. But then for other people, they figured it out. It just seemed to be...
I remember talking to you about this bit, and whatever that bit was, I didn't even know it was a problem.
Yeah.
But then other bits I got stuck at as well, that you did not.
But that's games. Like, that's just, like, it's impossible to kind of, like, make a game where everyone can figure it out.
That's games. And that's games.
Yeah.
Quicktime Events. Google Stadia, lol.
I typed that.
Yep.
So Google Stadia, or Google have announced that Google Stadia will be shutting down its streaming services next year.
Yeah, they sent it in a really, like, in an email that was like, Stadia update. And it was
Stadia down date.
I mean, this is what, like, it launched November 19th, 2019, and it's been discontinued in January 18th, 2023.
Man, the console market is fucking impenetrable. Like, if not even, like, I know everyone was like, Google's not going to be able to do it, and, like, I didn't think they would either. But if not even Google can,
Like they're a heavy hitter in Silicon Valley.
What does it take for any new party? I guess it takes a Steam Deck, right?
Yeah. I mean, like with Stadia, everyone said it at the start. Like there wasn't like from gamers, there wasn't a lot of confidence that this would last in any real way.
No.
And there was really like they did a big marketing push before it released, being like, no, we're going to support this. We're serious about this. It kind of just fizzled out. Like there was never any big Stadia events. It kind of sounded like they really failed to get like developers on board. Like if you wanted to play Ubisoft games, then yeah, great, cool, you're covered. You can play those anywhere. But like I remember when they first were launching this and they had the guy come out on stage and he was just like, no, not MatPat, the Stadia dude, and he was just like, I don't play games. And I was like, oh, we're fucked. Like it's just
I remember he said that and I was just like,
why would you say this?
I wasn't even angry. I was like, dude, no, don't say that.
Just lie. Even if it's true, just lie. Because it's just one of these people like being like, I don't know what you want. I don't know what you guys need. But we want your money. And this is when we have this technology. And like the technology is cool. It's interesting.
That's literally the heel character I play for a wrestling league.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is.
Like the cloud gaming, still getting there. It's cool that they're still trying, and I think it will get there.
Oh yeah, no, get there.
But it's not there yet.
No.
Apparently, some of the staff who work on Google Stadia found out about this. They didn't find out internally. They found it out through the update.
Awesome.
At the same time as everyone else.
That's really great to hear.
I'm just kind of off the top of my head. I can think of Google Video, which was their competitor to YouTube until they bought YouTube. I used to use Google Video in 2005.
You'd get uncensored stuff better on Google Video. You'd get uncensored stuff better on Google Video.
Oh yeah, you would. And you could upload something longer than 10 minutes, which was a rule on YouTube at the time. You couldn't.
Oh man. Better days.
Google Plus was their social media competitor. I don't know if
that was a real, like, that died quick.
Yeah. Google Stadia, I guess, was their game console endeavor.
I would say this lasted about as long as I expected.
Yeah.
And like, I know I'm being mean about Google. We do have a Gmail with them, and Google Drive is good for the most part.
Yeah.
But it just seems like it's a tech company that will throw a pin on the dartboard with anything that exists and they'll just give it a go. But it seems like at some point they'll just move on with it.
A lot of software development just seems like it's launching products. Like it's a lot of internal development, you launch and then it just kind of dies. And I don't even know if they mean for them to succeed. Is this just what software developers do?
Yeah.
Just launch shit.
Just something to do.
And then like they have all this kind of back-end tech that they've made and then they're like, we'll pivot this to something eventually. Because it's just like, it kind of felt like if they wanted it to be a real competitor, they have the money and the resources to do it, and they just never really did. So they were like, it'll either get adopted or it won't, and if it dies, they seemed pretty okay with it, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure.
I hope the staff, if they could stay in Google, just switch departments.
Oh yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
they'll just be moved on to something else.
Yeah.
It's such a monolithic company.
Big Google office here in Dublin. We're doing all right.
Grand Theft Auto 6 leaked.
Did you guys watch any of these leaks?
I haven't watched any of it, no.
It's all early like footage, but it was like hours of it. I remember just like kind of flicking through it and being like,
it must be super interesting to see the work in progress.
Yeah, like it was really interesting from like a development point of view.
So that it's got all the like coding and like statistics that are generally meant to be invisible in the final build.
It's weird seeing like the on-camera tools. So like they'll be noting like state changes. So they'll be like, oh, now this shop clerk is in a stick-up state.
So it's really in like debug mode.
Yeah, totally.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was deadly.
They arrested a 17-year-old in like
he's
Oxfordshire.
Oh my god.
For the leaks. So I think he's just a suspect. But yeah.
Because I know they've put out some stuff that the game is in development and that it's going to have dual protagonists and it's supposed to be like Bonnie and Clyde inspired, and one of them is male and one's female protagonist.
Yeah. Like, I wouldn't say there was anything too dramatic. I saw people, like, noting about the gameplay that are, like, it's all fairly...
No.
You're seeing a very close-up part of the game.
There was a lot of noise from people who don't really know how games are made being like upset that the game looked bad or that they didn't like the direction or that they were reusing assets, and it's kind of
it's all placeholder.
Yeah, it's like it's a lot of like noise from people who don't, I presume young people.
Do you know what actually kind of annoyed me about that? Like, it wasn't even like the people who just don't understand about game development. What frustrated me nearly was like every headline about this thing happening was about those people.
Yeah.
And I feel like...
Don't encourage it.
I feel like as a society, we've gotten into this real bad habit where we wait for something to happen and then we seek out the worst possible response.
The bad
and just
takes.
magnify lens it. It's a little bit like the Little Mermaid shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's all just like, oh, people are so fucking mad about this trailer. And at some point I kind of just feel like we've gotten into this habit of just platforming the worst take possible of any given situation. And
Like, that's what they're being sensational about.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, I get it because like
Bad news sells faster.
bad news sells fast, and like to a certain extent I get how someone could consider it newsworthy, but I also feel like I think I'm just really sick of the headline people are being dumb on the internet about something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's definitely
It's
done.
a constant.
Yeah, it's definitely
You
done
can,
to
you
like.
can find the dumbest take on anything if you want.
Yeah, and like even with stuff like this, I have no doubt it's out there. Like, I have no doubt at all. I saw no tweets or nothing about people saying that GTA was shit, and that's not me saying it's out there. I understand, like, it's very easy to put two and two together and figure out that people are going to be dumb. But 100% of the coverage was people talking about how people don't understand.
Yeah.
And it was just, I don't know.
It's something negative that keeps it glued to the website.
Yeah, I feel like at some point it's like it's nearly like this thing of like wanting to feel like you're correcting something and wanting to feel like you're doing the right thing, but I kind of think it ends up like, what's the word, perpetuating the problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I guess the problem being it's a social media, and then you have something, what's interesting there is a big corporate leak happened. That's the interesting story, but it's hard to talk about that when you don't really know much about how those kind of things happen. And there's people who are reading those articles and finding it interesting. But then how you keep it social is you report on the social side, which is finding these really, like, even if they're few and far between, but finding the most aggressive takes and writing about those, or calling the people who have these takes like stupid, or like trying to correct those, because that's the social side of it.
Yeah, and like
Keep you engaged.
I understand it, and if I had like a website to run, I can't say I'd have this opinion, but yeah, I feel like at some point there has to be like a little more journalistic responsibility or something here, you
Absolutely.
know?
Just to change the headline.
Because like, it's like, yeah.
But it also just like really stifles interesting criticism then,
Yeah.
because like you just become this like beacon for rage, because the angriest people get picked up by websites. Then someone tries to write something thoughtful about like some video game criticism, and you're waiting for these people, because these people are primed to come to your websites as well.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it, because it's just
and like,
like, I don't think there's an answer, and I don't think anyone's to blame or
it's not
anything
it's
like
not a
that.
simple problem. Like, I understand that.
Yeah.
Like, I can imagine there's people in like, you know, the website business who would listen to me talking about this, and it just sound like so stupid, but
They probably need to do 5 articles a day. And
yeah. And like, I have a lot of sympathy for the people on the ground in those
I know.
websites, but it's like, there's something not right here. Like,
know.
like we are perpetuating a shitty thing, and I
think
weird.
this is what I've like pulled away from using social media so much this year, and I think that was a big reason for it. It's just like, it is a negativity farm.
Yeah. I have never taken a step further back from social media and been like, there was a mistake.
Yeah, absolutely.
I miss it. You don't.
No.
But yeah,
GTA.
speaking of negativity on the internet, Dunkey has started a new publishing label.
Yeah.
Bigmode.
He's the YouTuber with the voice, and he plays the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
he puts out a video once a week. They're easy to watch.
They're easy to watch. He's insightful.
Yeah.
Like he's a silly guy. He makes a lot of jokes, but he's not like. He does have very...
Yeah, he makes good points.
He occasionally has really interesting things to say about games, and he says it in very little words, which is really hard to do.
It's really... I've seen him compare it to Mark Brown, who does Game Maker's Toolkits, where they're on opposite ends of video games, but they're both going for the same thing.
They'll have like a similar level of insight and just approach it in a very, very... Dunkey wouldn't get as like nuanced as Mark, but like that's Mark's thing.
Yeah. But then, yeah, like it's just like Dunkey's able to kind of pinpoint exactly what makes the game unique or something like that.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think Dunkey's like, I think he's a pretty like long and proven track record with games. I can understand like some concern in that like it gets very tricky when you go from the promotion of games to the development of games and.
Well, I think he's just doing publishing. I don't know if he's developing.
Sorry,
yeah,
publishing. But even when you have skin in the game, so to speak, like that does walk kind of a tricky ethical line. But I would also trust Dunkey to handle it well.
Yeah, I also like when people like, make money in this field and then they're kind of like, this is what I like. This is a venture that I want to try. Like I kind of, I respect someone who's like, I like video games so much that I kind of want to try and get the good ones made.
Totally.
But yeah, it just kind of walked that line a little bit. But there was a lot of negativity to him attempting this kind of pivot.
And what I will say in this, I was surprised. I was not aware of that level of negativity.
I didn't know you pissed people off.
Yeah.
Apparently, well, I think it's that, like, but you see, I don't know, like, he doesn't like RPGs, and sometimes he'll make JRPGs, and sometimes he'll make a video about how, like, he doesn't like a JRPG, but, like, I mean, I've just always taken that as, like, oh yeah, Dunkey's not into JRPGs.
Yeah.
Like, but... And I run into this a lot too as well. People are so fucking sensitive about Japanese media specifically. I don't know what it is.
I think it's like a weird gatekeeping thing.
But there are fucking lunatics who think that they can explain every little failing in a piece of Japanese media through this like obscure cultural context. And it's just like, no dude, this bit of this thing just fucking sucks.
It can't be sexism. It's about declining birth rate. And you're like, do you want to examine that a bit more? Do you want to examine it?
No.
That's just the answer.
That's
the answer to all the criticism.
That's the end of the conversation.
I just like the titty.
But like, I don't get it because like there's so much fucking Japanese media I love. Yu Yu Hakusho, one of my favorite things ever. Last arc, kind of fucking garbage. Kind of shit. Like not shit for like any like okay well the author was suffering whatever but like it's still bad. Like it's still like
you know what 4 weeks ago One Piece had a really shit chapter. It was just so bad and it was really strange because all the other chapters around it are very good but there's just this really shit chapter.
But yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like bad. Specifically Japanese media people get so defensive about. But anyway, look, bigger story. I think this could be really cool and like I'm excited to see what this looks like.
Yeah.
No, I really like indie publishers because like for years the one I can think of was Nicalis, who published Cave Story in the West and a couple of others. But then the guy who ran Nicalis turned out to be a piece of shit.
Yeah, real dirtbag.
Now they're not publishing, but then from that you have like I Am 8-Bit and the one that opened up a physical shop. What are they called?
Numbskull even started publishing and they brought some stuff over that wouldn't normally get like published and stuff.
Yeah.
Limited Run. That's what I mean.
Yeah, Limited Run.
Yeah, no, but there are all these publishers that will give the little guy a shot.
Yeah, and like this is now more little guys are going to get shots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah.
And cool. Like I think people just took umbrage with the video being kind of like full of bravado, but like that's literally the character he plays.
Yeah.
Like
it is. Yeah. No, I like for me I really like the curation of these things. Like Devolver Digital. Mm-hmm. Very interesting selection.
Mm-hmm. Jim Stephanie Sterling did a great video on like just the Dunkey stuff, and at the end they were saying like worst case scenario, it fails and Dunkey has to eat that. Like, best case scenario, we get more games. Like,
yeah, and like, I mean, if it fails, Dunkey will be fine.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, people are strange. Emails. That was nice.
All right.
Bryan, cook us up a fat pot of emails.
Oh my god, have I got some fucking emails for you guys tonight. First of all, it's askletsfightaboss@gmail.com.
That's assletsfightaboss@gmail.com. What's it, Niamh?
Let'sfightaboss@gmail.com.
ASS. I want
Bryan!
your ass big and thick. I don't want this flat illumination Mario looking ass.
Oh yeah. What is with that?
He's got no
sad
wagon.
Give him
bum.
a fucking booty!
What a sad bum.
There's no wagon being dragon. What's going on?
I want
like a
Mario
hair
to
ass.
run, and I want those asses to fucking bounce.
I want those cheeks a clapping.
Yep.
Okie dokie.
Sorry,
And I want them like on separate animation cycles, so one goes up and one goes down.
I gotta move this onto my lap here for a sec.
That's quite alright.
So do you remember last episode I was talking about animal facts? I was talking about wombats, I think.
Yeah.
And then I got giddy and I said, okay, everyone, send in emails where you send in 2 truths and 1 lie.
Yeah.
Completely forgot about that until today. And
Brilliant.
I've got 4 emails, right? So
Okay.
these are 4 individual emails, and the thing is, animal trivia, 2 truths and 1 lie.
Okay.
I don't know what the truths and lie are because all these people have sent emails, but they actually haven't disclosed
What?
the answer.
That's probably a good thing though,
Yeah,
because like
so-
then whoever reads it would know the answer.
So we're gonna read these.
Okay.
We're each gonna guess.
Okay.
Maybe
Or maybe no, and then our community will tell us who's right.
Okay.
And I don't want no fucking nameless shenanigans where John wins by chicanery.
Okay. They're not going to listen to you, Bryan. My nameless. Do not let the wrong thing happen.
I just want an honest game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That's not. Is that not what I said?
No. Okay, so this first one is from Lars.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Number 1. Lemmings do run off cliffs, but only when they are migrating.
I'm gonna say false.
I think that's also false.
Well, would you like to know the other 2? Because there's two
Sure.
truths
Oh
and a lie.
yeah.
Okay. 2. Squirrels perceive time more slowly than humans do. 3. The yellow-rumped warbler is capable of falling asleep while in flight. So we've got lemmings, squirrels, and the yellow-rumped warbler.
Those are all insane. Those are all crazy.
But 2 of them are true, 1's a lie.
Okay. Well, I think
Because I read a thing ages ago that the myth of lemmings falling off a cliff came from the filmmakers orchestrating that scene, which is awful.
yeah, they're rodents. I don't think they're just gonna run off a cliff.
They're herd animals, though, and if one falls off, they...
Yeah, but here's the thing. Squirrels, I don't think it's correct to say they perceive time more slowly than we do. I think, like most animals, they kind of operate at a higher frame rate.
They do.
So maybe that's a phrasing thing.
Yeah, to me, I think 2's a lie.
I think 1 is the lie. I think the lemmings one is the lie.
I'm also going to go with the lemmings one.
Okay, I'm going to say squirrels.
And that the
is a lie.
yellow-rumped wobbler can fall asleep during flight, and that squirrels perceive time more slowly, but lemmings do not run off cliffs.
Okay. All right. This one is from Francisco. First one. Beavers build dams because they hate the sound of running water. 2. Armadillos and opossums are related. 3. Moose can swim so deep underwater that they are common animals in the diet of orca/killer whales.
Oh, that sounds insane.
No, moose can swim crazy deep underwater.
Okay.
It's meant to be something that really scares the shit out of divers sometimes.
Okay, well, I'm going to say armadillos and opossums, like, they aren't related because opossums are, like, marsupials and armadillos aren't. So that's the false one for me.
Guys,
the armadillos and
I've
opossums.
been getting real into possums.
Possums are real fun.
I just think they're so fucking cute because they're kind of nightmares. You know?
They're
but
really,
so,
I agree.
They're really sharp.
Yeah.
I think the beavers build dams is the lie.
Yeah, same.
Okay, this one's from Cal. And, okay, number 1. The giant squid is the largest species of squid. 2. Sharks that existed on Earth longer than trees. 3. Electric eels are technically not considered eels. I actually know this one.
What's the answer?
Or maybe I don't.
I'm going to go with number 1 is the lie.
Number 1 is the lie.
Okay, I'm going to say number 3, electric eels are not technically eels, is the lie. Wait, no. I'm doing this wrong.
You are.
Electric eels are technically not considered eels. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Sharks have existed on Earth longer than trees. That feels true as well. The giant squid is the largest species of squid. Seems true because it's in the name.
Well, it's not the giantest squid, Niamh.
It's just a giant squid.
Okay.
There's a girl I follow on TikTok who does like nature stuff, and she's like, "This is how I hit on girls in the club." And then she walks up to a girl and she's like, "You know how old sharks are?" And the girl's like, "No." And she's like, "Older than trees." So that's how I know that.
Okay. Well, then I'm gonna say the eel one is the lie.
You think the eel one's a lie, so you're going with number 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Then this last one is Gustavo. And here they are. And there's also a bonus question at the end.
Okay.
Okay, so number 1. There is a species of sea slug that can eat enough algae that it manages to sustain itself by doing photosynthesis. Okay?
Okay.
That's a sentence. Number 2, there's a genetic condition with eagles that make that
That affected by glowing when illuminated by UV light.
Yeah. And then number 3, there's a species of sea sponge that developed a carnivore plant niche where it captures fish and shrimp to use as sustenance.
Oh, that's kind of horrifying.
Oh man.
I think the eagle one's a lie, number 2.
What was that one again?
Eagles have a genetic condition that makes them glow under UV light.
No, I think that's it.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna go with that being the lie as well.
So we all agree number 2 is a lie.
That's
Yeah.
the last. Oh, I know we have another bit there, but that's the last question.
Yeah.
Okay. Once again, my nameless followers, do not spam the comment section with John 1, no questions asked, unless I actually did win. Do not do that.
Don't. Bonus question. What is your favorite dinosaur to eat? Mine is chicken. Chicken's a good answer.
I mean, yeah.
I like to imagine like a stegosaurus or something. It's kind of like a boar.
What's that little
or a
shit
pig.
from Land Before Time? Littlefoot? I bet he's real tender. Niamh?
I don't know, I'd eat a chicken. I kind of want to eat a lizard. Is that weird?
Have you ever eaten frog's legs?
No.
They're pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's like chicken, but kind of like slippery.
I've only had lobster like twice in my life.
I've never had I've had crab a whole bunch. Crab's good, but I've never had lobster.
Lobster's good, dude. It's so good.
I love shellfish. They're great. Great bunch of lads.
Mussels? How do you feel about mussels?
I love mussels if they have garlic breadcrumb.
Niamh?
Not mussels. I don't know mussels.
Did either you ever do the
What, oysters?
That's oyster.
oyster? Yeah.
I wouldn't eat an oyster.
No,
I'd try it.
I watched a person eat oysters at the airport, and I was like, "That's brave."
Yeah.
Why the fuck would you do it at
I
the
don't
airport?
know.
Brave, but also like whatever's coming that person's way, they deserve.
Yeah.
We should not wait till you're on holidays.
Yeah, I was just like,
do it at the airport.
Holiday starts now, man. That's probably. Is that what they sounded like, Niamh?
No.
It's probably those people that have pints at the airport at 9 a.m, but it's like a big yeasty fucking hot pint, and then you're like,
Well, I
when you're on
think
the
those
boat.
people are just terrified they're going to die in the flight.
Would you not just have vodka like a normal person? Okay, Niamh, you starred a question, and it's from Ben, and it's Niamh's drug opinions. Do you want to read it out?
yeah. Hello, Bosscast 2 years from now. Oh, no, this was too spicy, Ben. In episode 168 of the podcast, Niamh says that she thinks everyone should try drugs, and I'm interested to hear more of her opinion. My perspective is that I'm someone that is very straight edge, and as such avoid drugs and alcohol mainly out of lack of interest. And while I do often find stories of being under the influence of these substances amusing, like John's nonsensical phone call to Michelle while high, I do recognise that taking drugs can potentially be quite dangerous to oneself and others, so developed quite the contrary opinion. Please let me know what you guys think. You guys are great, and I look forward to listening to you while I travel to and from work. Ben. Okay.
So we have to give all our separate drug opinions?
Yeah, so I'm going to go first. And
okay.
Ben, I'm going to preface this with, like, I have had some of the worst experiences of my life where I thought I was absolutely going to die on drugs. Like, just the shittiest, worst time where I could not make it end. I also had a terrible time where I just projected vomited all over the fucking place. Just all over the place. Fucking shit was terrible. I'm gonna say all of that first. The reason, so like with that out of the way, and if you want to do drugs, the thing I'll always say is do it in a safe environment when you are in a good headspace to do them.
And with people you trust.
And getting drugs from people you trust. About a week ago, I did some shrooms with a friend, and I just laughed fucking full on for an hour. I just big belly laughs. I hadn't smiled that much in what feels like 2 years. Like, my face hurt from smiling and my sides hurt from laughing, and it felt so genuinely good. And that is the experience I enjoy from like drug taking. Is sometimes I find it very hard to feel connected to people around me. And some of the times I felt most connected and most in sync with people when we were all on a certain drug together. And those experiences gave me a lot more empathy and insight into my friends, into myself. And I really valued that experience. Other than that, I really love making art while doing drugs. I like to experience art while on drugs. It's a more heightened experience where I feel really emotionally connected to what I'm doing. So to me, it's about trying to find connection and achieving that connection. And I also think, you know, we're humans. We have a certain brain function. I think it is interesting to experience it shifted, you know? Like if you're on shrooms and you're like hallucinating. I went to the bathroom and there was a beautiful tiled floor in the bathroom of just interlocking patterns. I was looking at the tiles and I was like, these are so fucking beautiful.
Just stopping and appreciating.
Yeah, I was like, the craftsman that went into this design, man, I don't know if they did this by hand or if it was a vector and this is just printed, but these tiles are gorgeous. Like, these are just fucking gorgeous tiles. And one of my favorite times just being like really, really high was one of the first times I got high, and I didn't really know this guy well, but like his dad was a guitarist and he had a whole pile of videos of his dad playing trick guitar. I'm not a big musician person, don't know much about trick guitar, but I was just watching this dude play trick guitar, and it was the most amazing experience where I was like, this dude is so talented, this is so fucking cool. And I think that's why I like it. And again, do it safely, do it smartly. You will have, if you were in a bad place, you will have a bad time. Be in a good place before you do any of these things. But those are my experiences from drugs, and I've also had bad experiences. So there is not to say that there is not a risk. There definitely is. But if you can have a good time, it is, I think, an insightful, mind-opening time.
Bryan?
Food tastes way better when you're high. Just fucking enhances it. And I'm sure we've all had the munchies.
Yeah, oh god, yeah.
Oh, I fucking love the munchies. So munchies, it's so, yeah. And like you're just like,
oh, it's so bad, Bryan. I have to hide things.
I do want to try shrooms. Like for me, it's like if it's a plant from the ground, I'm okay with it. If it's something more manufactured, I don't know if I could do that. Like I don't know if I could do an ecstasy pill or something like that. And like I love 90s dance music and rave culture aesthetic and all that, but I don't know if I could do like the drug part of that. But I like stuff from the garden. I like the gardening aspect. I like the growing your own crops, and eating your crops, consuming your crops, and it's, something someone grew, someone cultivated it and loved it, and now it's for you to take to the next level. And so there's that aspect that I respect and appreciate. But then the whole chemical side of it, and you don't know where it came from or what it's been stepped on with, that scares me, because I don't know the origin of it. So maybe it's like, I like, for me, I like knowing the origin of where it came from, and that kind of puts me more at ease, because I kind of know what to expect then, or I know what the limits of it are.
Yeah, I think I'd be kind of similar to Bryan in a lot of that stuff. Like, I don't do too many drugs or anything, and like a lot of that is just because, like, I mean, it's very rarely I'm in like a situation where something like that'll come up. But I think, like, whenever harder drugs are presented to me, my concern is that, like, I get very, very high off, like, even just small doses of, like, caffeine and stuff like that.
John is very sensitive to stimulants.
Very, very sensitive. And, like, I won't get, like, super, super drunk on like alcohol, like any more so than like a regular person, but like my emotional state will go up and down a lot when I drink or anything like that. And so I'd have real concerns about how I would react to like a stronger drug. And there's a part of me is like, I'd say like, I would happily try shrooms. I'd be pretty up for that. But like a lot of the chemical stuff, like a lot of the harder stuff, I just think that's maybe a door I don't want to open, because I think there's absolutely a kind of like person and physiology that's going to do real well with that kind of stuff. I have a strong feeling that's not me, because I have done enough to know, I think, where my limits are, and they're not that high, and I am fine with that. Like, I am cool existing in the emotional spectrum I currently exist, and I do not need to know that there is something higher than that or something lower than that, because they are both enough for where I'm at. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like the most high I've been recently was after my surgery last year, when I had a hernia repaired, and that was in February of last year. But like, I had a general anesthetic, but the feeling of euphoria when I woke up,
oh my god,
it's fucking amazing. And like that's, chemicals and stuff that they injected into me, but that was fucking brilliant.
So I mean, one of the best experiences, like one of the most like intense spiritual experiences I ever had, was when I got, what did I get, Bryan?
Butt surgery.
Major butt surgery in second year of college, and it was so painful that the nurse was like, I legally can't give you any more morphine. And I was fucking screaming. It was so sore. I've probably described the butt surgery before, but it was just very, very painful. I feel like I should clarify that it was on the butt, not in the butt, but it was in a nerve cluster of just agony.
His tail.
And it was my tail. And so she ended up like just injecting me with loads more morphine, and that made the pain go away, which felt really good. But then that night, oh my god, I got so fucking high, and I just sat there, and I had a little mini disc player, and I just listened to the Silent Hill 2 soundtrack, and it was one of the I listened to it like 4 times, and it was like one of the greatest nights of my life. It was just fucking incredible. I'd be looking at my hands, and I was like, I can see this music on my hands. Like, this is like, not hallucinating, but I don't know, some fucking sensory mix up, whatever it was. And I just remember like just lying there for hours in complete ecstasy, and then I came out of that and I was like, cool, I never need to do that again, but I'm glad I had that.
I think if you're someone who appreciates art and you're in a safe place where you can take a psychedelic, it can be a really like rewarding experience, because it kind of unlocks this other place for you to experience it and appreciate it from. I think for my loot drop, I'm going to link Thought Slime's video on psychedelics, because he has very similar opinions on psychedelics as I do, and it's not for everyone. And if you're someone who's just like, I never want to do drugs, like, I am not trying to convince anyone to do drugs if they don't want to do drugs. I'm just saying, if you feel like this is an experience that you might get something out of, doing it in the safest way possible can be quite rewarding.
Sure.
It's got potential.
We got one more, Bryan?
Oh yeah, we do. Okay, just because we were talking about the GTA 6 leaks. So this is from Sergio. Leaks he couldn't believe actually came true. Hello Niamh, Breve and Jeeve. Hope y'all are doing well. Doing okay. We opened up the window. Helps.
Yeah.
I've been in a constant state of disbelief over the recent announcement of Fire Emblem Engage. A few months back before the announcement, someone posted in the Fire Emblem subreddit a leak that showed the female protagonist and some other screenshots of the game. I couldn't believe what I was seeing and immediately thought that these were fake. There was no way the next Fire Emblem protagonist was going to have split red and blue hair.
Yeah.
And the design just kind of seemed off for me. Overall, it seemed like no one truly believed it was real, but yet here we are, and Toothpaste Chan is real. It made me wonder if y'all had any sort of leaks you've encountered that just seemed unbelievable, but later on were indeed true.
I can't say I have too many. I think like in the last like 10 years especially, like I'm really not that concerned with leaks because I'm like, well, I'll know if it's true or not eventually. I don't really care, you know? Like I saw the Street Fighter 6 leaks and I was like, oh, that actually kind of upped my interest in that game because like, oh, I actually really like what's going on with some of these characters. But yeah, I never take too much notice of them.
I got two. So Pikmin 4 being in development was one of those things where it was like, yeah, but is it actually? And every couple of years Miyamoto would be like, no, it's in development. And then this like Pikmin game came out on the 3DS and people thought that was Pikmin 4. But I always knew Pikmin 4 is definitely in development, and sure enough it is. It was announced in the most recent Nintendo Direct that it's in development. But then the one, and we're recording this on a Wednesday the 5th of October.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to break the illusion. Wednesday, 5th of October. Thursday, the 6th of October, the Mario Illumination trailer is coming out, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've seen the poster already, and it's Mario from behind, and it's him in the Mushroom Kingdom with a sprawling environment that looks really cool. I'm not sure so much about Mario, but the environment looks great. But since then, someone has done like a very blurry screenshot of a McDonald's takeout promo image, and it's the front facing of that Mario. And there's a big debate as to whether it's fake or not. But the thing is, in 24 hours, we'll know. So do you guys want to have a look? And
Sure.
I've seen it. I think it's real.
I think it's real too.
I think it's close enough that it's real.
It's gonna be just Mario, right? Like, does it look weird?
No, it's just extra detailed Mario, and thus looks kind of weird.
His eyes are smaller, and he's got a bit more photorealistic look. Hang on.
I think what looks weird is like that pose. It's the fist is usually like way more stylized to be bigger, and in this it's like he has an elbow.
Yeah.
Oh, something about this looks like a nightmare to me.
So for me, it's his arm.
Yeah.
Because usually his arm thickness is the same throughout, but in this he's got like a human arm.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't like. Oh, something about this gives me the spookers.
Yeah, there's something weird
This
about
is Uncanny Valley Mario.
And he has a front pocket in his dungarees, and he also has a collar on his shirt.
No!
Is that real?
I don't like that.
I think it's real.
I think it's real as well.
Yeah.
It's a very detailed image to fake.
Yeah.
It's very convincing. Do you remember when they had the Nintendo, before Nintendo Switch, but it was called the Nintendo NX, and there was that fucking fake, like, 3D printed, like, it looked like a PS Vita screen with then, like, a pair of, like, earphones beside it. That shit was fake. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I really liked the circular mirrors fake Switch leak. I
Oh,
thought that was
that
like
thing,
really
yeah.
fun.
no, I saw it. That was like, that shit's fake.
When the GeForce Nvidia leak happened, I think it was like, was it this year or was it late last year? That big list of games that leaked from the Nvidia servers, I remember seeing that and being like, that can't all be real. And like so many of them like have come to fruition, especially just like a lot of it was like, you know, Tactics Ogre and just all the Square stuff coming to PC and all the stuff. I think it's end of the year. Dio Field Chronicle came out there, and I was going to buy it, and then I went, no, Niamh, go to Steam and read the reviews, and then everyone said it's a boring story, and I was like,
and Dio Field, there's another thing that isn't Dio Field Chronicles that's really like it, or looks really like it.
Yeah, that's the Tactics.
Yeah.
Ogre. But that had like, Bayonetta 3 in it. It had like Tekken 8 and all these things. Oh, the Resident Evil 4 remake was in that one as well, and Dragon's Dogma 2, and like they're all announced. But at the time, I was just like, that can't be real. That's just too many big games, and no, it's just very real.
This summer showed us.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily a leak because it's not publicly known. But what I will say is, occasionally things get back to me, and there's one. And I think I mentioned it to you two guys, that I don't want to say, but the person who told me has been right about other things, and if this is true, it makes no fucking sense to me at all, and that will be very interesting. If it comes true and I still have my doubts, I'll say what it is when it happens. But yeah, it's what a fucking world we live in.
I guess also the Silent Hill leaks, like about being a Bloober team and all these kind of spin-off games, and like there was those over-the-shoulder blurry screenshots that were released recently. Like, they all seem legit enough, I won't be shocked if they've happened, but I'm also, because it's Silent Hill, you can't help but be a little bit like, whatever it is, I'm going to be like, boo, what?
At this point, yeah, it's like, there's just been so, like, I don't know if there's any series that's had more, like, false flags or anything like that. But, yeah, like, I totally wouldn't be surprised if they were legit, and then I totally wouldn't be surprised if they were just a pitch deck from 5 years ago. But, yeah.
This one is from Earl. Hello, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. I recently bought a DVD copy of Everything Everywhere All at Once, since I loved it when I watched it in the theater. Excited to watch it again. I made popcorn, bought snacks to enjoy it all over again. However, when starting the film, things started to get wrong. First, the film looked like a Daily Motion video from 2006. The audio sounded like it was made in a metal chamber, and the subtitles hurt my eyes every time they showed up. Even though I loved the movie, I couldn't bear watching it this way, so I returned it to the store. Have you ever bought a physical product of something you love, DVDs, figures, or books, that made you hate the thing you bought? With loads of love, Earl from Norway. P.S. Niamh is totally Huey.
Thanks.
I'm Dewey. John's Louie.
Like, sometimes you order a figure online and it's just, it looks so cool, and then it gets there and the seam marks are there and the paint job's a little shitty. That can be really disappointing. I had a really cool Vegeta before, and the sculpt on it was lovely, but the paint job was just kind of weird. It was like all very like spray painted gradation, that kind of way.
I get it a lot with DVDs and Blu-rays as well, because like I think the quality of it can be just so all over the place. Even
you
the
really
packaging
want, like, the best restoration of it.
Yeah. And it's just really frustrating because like, there's just stuff now that you can't own on DVD, and it's just like, I think I'd even want to own a shit copy of Horse Girl if I could. Or like, I care a lot, like you can't, like that doesn't exist on physical media anywhere, which is really frustrating. But I don't know. Yeah, like I stopped buying limited run games, like their collector's stuff, because like I got one or two and I thought they were kind of, for what you're paying, I thought they were only okay.
They charge a lot.
Yeah, like the print quality wasn't the best. Like I got the Missing, the Swery game. I got the special edition of that, and I just thought it was fine. Like there wasn't anything egregiously wrong with it or anything, but it was just like, why am I paying up for special editions? And I've kind of generally stopped buying special editions.
Yeah, I've been kind of off special editions for a long time.
I was going to get the special edition of Fire Emblem Engage, and I was like, you know what, Bryan? No. So I'm just getting the vanilla version.
Because like Resident Evil 4 Remake, I bet that's going to come in the big trunk with a Leon figure and like whatever the fuck else is in it, like they did for 2 Remake and 3 Remake. And like I have the 2 Remake one. I like that Leon figure a lot. That big fucking box is so big. Like, where do you put that shit? And like, you don't want to get rid of part of it and then you have other part of it. Like, I don't know. It's like, it wasn't that it was bad, but sometimes collector edition stuff can be bad enough that you also have something big taking up space and low quality.
Yeah.
The collector's edition of Bloodborne is stupid.
Yeah.
And like, I should own this, but I don't want to own it. Like, the box is fucking dumb. It's basically like a bunch of bound books.
Oh yes, the bound book one. Yes,
and they're on a
I know
shelf,
this one.
and it comes in a box, and then comes with a bell trinket. It comes in an art book, but that art book now exists in multiple forms. But it also comes with like a little mini quill and ink dabber. But it's not like it.
I think sometimes when they try and get real cute with it, like,
you're just giving me a bunch of shit.
An ink dabber, it's like, I'm not gonna fucking.
And like, yeah, I get like, yeah, there's a lot of desks in the game and stuff, but like, it's not like a weapon, or it's not.
You know what? Actually, I really like metal cases.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know, they
like a
come
good steel book.
Yeah, and they come with like
great.
a little art book just slotted in there. I like stuff like that.
Oh, that stuff is brilliant. Just more of that. But yeah, this thing, like, it looks crap. Bloodborne Nightmare Edition, and it looks.
Like, I remember the first Dark Souls edition I got. Like, I got this like special edition for it. I think they just had a spare special edition. They gave it to me, and I took out the little hardcover book, and just like going through all the artwork of all the bosses I was going to fight was like really exciting, you know.
Yeah.
And like stuff like that's deadly.
Oh, something I bought recently that I really hated, and this might be controversial to Lego fans out there, but was the Lego Optimus Prime.
Oh, you got that?
I got that, and I sold it on eBay.
Really?
Yeah, it transformed. I built it in 2 days, and I hated it. It was one of the most boring Lego builds I've ever built, ever. As a finished piece, it was fine, but I like Lego for building it, you know? So I just really, really hated the build experience of the entire thing, and I sold it instantly.
I'm really excited about Lego Bowser getting that from Santa.
He looks cool.
That looks deadly.
Yeah.
He looks like fun.
Yeah. I got so Morgana from Persona 5. I have the Nendroid from Morgana. I fucking hate that Nendroid.
Oh, really?
Just... It's a thing where, you know how sometimes Nendroids chibify a character, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, Morgana's already a chibi character, so the Nendroid for Morgana is just the model of Morgana, but like 10% incorrect.
Okay.
And so you look at it and you're like, there's something off about this. And then when you look at like Morgana in the game versus this Nendroid in Morgana, you're like, why could they just not make it 100% accurate? Because like, I've got the Nendroid for Shin-chan, and that is 1-to-1 correct. I have the one for Teddy from Persona 4. It's 1-to-1 correct, but the one on Morgana, it just looks slightly off. It's the same with the Wind Waker Link Nendroid. It's like, it's almost correct, but it's actually not on model. It's like some body parts, some limbs are a bit wrong.
Yeah.
And so you got this like uncanny valley, but like it's not uncanny valley, but it's kind of like adjacent to it, where it's like, this is something I'm so familiar with, but when I look at this, I can pinpoint what's exactly wrong with it, but it's off.
Speaking of things that there is something off with, Patreon shoutouts.
This is our least favorite part of the podcast.
Yeah. I'm so fucking sick of this shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
I want to thank each and every one of you.
Yeah.
For
Thanks.
for coughing up and supporting us. It means a lot.
Yeah, whatever.
You got something nice?
No, I actually really appreciate you.
Yeah,
You guys are great.
I'm sorry.
You guys are beautiful angel babies that help us out a lot. Makes doing this better.
And if you would like to receive this very specific level of both passive aggressiveness and affection, you can do so at patreon.com/LFAB. Brian, where can I do it?
Patreon.com/LFA and or B.
We've been making this podcast for 7 years. Is it 7 years, John? You know better than me.
Yes, it is, Niamh.
7 years. We could make it for 7 more if you continue to give us your 3 buckaroos.
Or we could die tonight. We don't know.
Or that.
Yeah. And somehow 3 books... It could be the line between one and the other.
Baby Satan wants specifically 3 books.
So if, you know, I hate getting too morbid with these bits, but if one of us dies in the next 2 weeks, you don't want to be the person who didn't contribute and be thinking, is this my fault? Because I'll tell you right now, it is. I really feel like I'm crossing the line with this one. Am I? Is that
No,
too
it
much?
is. And Bryan has a weak constitution, just like...
Yeah, wouldn't ask me. I think it's funny.
Okay, let's read these.
Okay.
This is from you first, John.
Okay. New Evangelion dub.
Don't say who it's from.
From Jake. New Evangelion dub on Netflix is better. Choose your weapons. I'll defend this take in honorable combat. That's a terrible take for multiple reasons. One, the New Evangelion just sounds like every other anime nowadays. There's no intimacy. There's no heart to it. But also, let's be real. It's the first fucking dub you hear is the one you give a shit about. You're never going to grow up listening to the original dub and then hear the new one and be like, I think that's better, and vice versa. So this is a silly debate and I refuse to engage in it.
Oh, I like the dub. I miss some of the classic lines. PhD is the big. It just says all nuts.
I bet there's like some amazing context we're missing there.
I do it again, like, aw, nuts.
Oh, nuts. Okay, this is from the Big Walled, in brackets, Bartandalus. That's brilliant. Okay, my new bonsai is currently a seedling. I'll post a picture when this is read out and we can all see how big it got.
Cool.
Oh, I hope his bonsai... I raised a bonsai for like a year. They're hard to keep alive.
Oh, they are.
But yeah, they're also really...
You only got a year out of it?
Well, no, Niamh!
It left home.
He fucked up, Niamh.
Have you ever raised a bonsai, Niamh? Have you ever raised a bonsai?
No, I can't.
Maybe shut your fucking mouth.
I can't give a plant that attention.
I raised a Venus flytrap for 5 years. And then that little shit died on me.
This is from Subparkour. Morse Farm may be mid, but Bragg Farm is hot garbage.
I don't know what any of that means.
Sure.
This is from Nugzette. I have a secret supply of queen milk. Hit me up if you need some.
Okay. Just thinking about that again. And this one is from FIFA 09.
Such a good name.
Usopp spell. A needle is embedded in the skin under your nail. That's from early One Piece when Usopp wouldn't fight. He would just like try and psych people out, and he tried to do like nails on a chalkboard kind of descriptions. That's some early One Piece. Good stuff.
Cool. Loot. Drop.
Okay, this is actually our least favorite part of the podcast.
Yeah, no, I love the Patreon shoutouts compared to this.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I got one. This is a video, I believe it's called Context Sensitive, and it's the latest video by Matthew Matosis. If I understand the comments of this correctly, there's a really good chance this could be Matthew Matosis's final video. If you are unfamiliar with Matthew Matosis, he's an Irish YouTuber who has been doing gaming videos for as long as I have been watching video essays. Massively influential creator. I know so many like big, massive creators who, know and respect his work. And I think in some ways, like, I don't know there is anyone who breaks down nuance in controls better than this guy, and I think this is the perfect video where he does that. Like, the level of insight he brings into like a really seemingly mundane thing, like just the idea of context sensitivity in games, and really uses that to divide particular kind of games and sort them into groups that age well and don't age well. It's a phenomenal video. It's so good. And if this is his last, I doubt he listens to this podcast, but thanks for everything. I appreciate it. You did some amazing stuff.
I already said that mine was going to be a Tot Slime video on psychedelics, and it's true. I also just generally quite like Tot Slime, so give videos a listen.
Mine is a YouTube channel called Seductive, and I took my duck to Target. I watched this the other day. Have you guys seen this video?
No.
So the guy himself he's a bit odd. He kind of looks like Johnny Depp, and he has a very strange voice. But his duck, Wrinkle, and he's like, this is Wrinkle. She's a professional duck. She's the most well-behaved fucking duck I've ever seen in my life. He brings the duck wherever he goes. He goes to Target, brings Wrinkle with him. She is an absolute delight to everyone. And people are like, is that a real duck? And he's like, yeah, you want to pet her? And she's so lovely. I haven't watched any of the other videos on this channel. I think this person's like a super big YouTuber. I just got recommended this video. I've noticed YouTube's algorithm at the moment is recommending me big channels I've never heard of, but also smaller video channels I've never heard of too. So I'll try and do a smaller channel next time, but this is just like a very odd video that I enjoyed because I'm not really into ducks, but I thought this duck was alright.
Really?
No, I'm not.
Oh, ducks. Michelle's super into ducks. She doesn't let me eat duck. Which I'm okay with because it's kind of greasy.
Oh, I love duck.
Oh dear.
It's quacktastic.
Guys, that's going to do it for yet another episode of the Let's Play the Boss video game podcast. We did actually... We met the requisite amount of time to talk about that. We had to talk about video games.
Yeah, we did.
No one can say we're not a video game podcast.
It's true.
Yeah, we said all the big names.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto, Final Fantasy 13.
Tiny Mario ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tunic.
Tunic, yeah. Everyone's favorite game. You guys like Dark Souls?
Yeah.
Guys like Asteroid?
Guys, the Super Mario movie trailer isn't out at the time of recording this. Brian, could you do your best Chris Pratt doing a Mario impression?
Mamma mia, it's me, Star-Lord. You want to try?
Hey, Luigi, what's going on here? Leave.
Oh, fuck no.
That was pretty good.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd swear, but yeah, that's pretty cool. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.